Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope the show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. We got a lot going on, guys. There's a lot going on today, so we got to jump right into it. We got some things. We got a little smattering of different things. Everything from true crime to pop culture, the politics and all the muck in between, guys. All of it in between. So get on in here. Please do me a favor before we get into everything. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, trust and believe I'm on all of them. So make sure you are hitting that follow button. Please and thank you. But of course, don't forget to subscribe here on my main channel here, right here on YouTube. Subscribe. Go and subscribe over at Pascal, the Pascal Show clips and Pascal Raw. Go and subscribe over there. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because honestly, it is random. All right? Trying to figure out a schedule. I am. I'm trying to. It's called life, and life be lifing. But anyway, make sure you hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, like I said, because it's random for now. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my new membership as well. It's over there too, the Pascal's Musical Fam. Go check it out. And of course, check out Patreon. Support if you can over there too. And of course, check out pascalmerch.com. Pascalmerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Pascalmerch.com. Okay, guys. We got to get straight into some stuff. There's a lot going on today. And I was trying to piece as much as I could together. Some of it we're going to go on the fly. It just is what it is. There's a lot of things going on with Greenland. Trump definitely has his eyes set on Greenland. That's not changing anytime soon unless another shiny object takes his attention. Okay? I just don't see him letting off. I just don't see him letting off of Greenland anytime soon, but he is very focused and he is very much passionately trying to make something happen with Greenland. There's supposed to be a press conference in less than an hour with Caroline. She's supposed to be doing a press conference today talking about Greenland. So we'll be hearing about that here very soon. So we got a lot to talk about. Kristi Noem just made a statement yesterday that I didn't get a chance to show you guys yet about especially with what's going on in Minneapolis. Like I said, we still have some true crime conversations that we need to have that is going off on Timothy Busfield. He just dropped, or some evidence just dropped. And the question is there a lie going on? Are these victims lying about Timothy Busfield? This is absolutely crazy. So we got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to go start off with the true crime first. The true crime stuff first. Now, I don't know if you guys know about Timothy Busfield. That's who he is. That's him. That's Timothy Busfield. First and foremost, he was hit with some serious allegations of doing some really bad things. Okay? Yes, we are talking about true crime, everybody. Oh my gosh, some people are very excited. Yes, we have ventured into the true crime realm, everybody. So here's the thing. This is Timothy Busfield, okay? This is what he looks like. This is the man right here, okay? He's an actor. He's been in a bunch of things, everything from 30-something to Field of Dreams, etc. He's also directed a whole bunch of stuff and all that. But what's interesting is now he was in the Revenge of the Nerds. I didn't know that. That's news to me. Okay, I've never really looked at his full his resume of work. Okay. But he's been in the game. Oh, let's not forget The West Wing. All right. He was on that show as well. So he's been on some very popular shows. He has been a prominent working actor in Hollywood and also directing things as well. So he's done his fair share of things. But then suddenly out of nowhere, some kids claim that he, for lack of a better term, put his hands on them. Okay. Some were saying as young as 7 years old. Apparently, these kids are like 11 or so now, if my memory serves me correctly. And one of them said that these things happened as young as 7 years old. Now, there was a warrant out for his arrest. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Timothy Busfield just disappeared, right? He went out on the lam. Yes, guys. And we talked about this, right? People started losing their minds about where could he be? Where is he? He's out on the lam, right? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of the clear blue sky, he shows up and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm actually in, he had to go to, I think it was New Mexico or Arizona, either one, but he had to go there to basically turn himself in. He's like, no, I wasn't out on the lam. I just turned myself in. Now, I know a lot of us are side-eyeing that situation. Like, sure, you just needed to turn yourself in. You just disappeared, right? Without anybody knowing. It's a little bit odd that you just went off the radar, but he still turned himself in. He did a video basically saying, hey, yes, thank you so much, Sharika. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But yes. Hi, guys. I'm in New Mexico. Okay. I'm in New Mexico. I needed to turn myself in. So that's why I'm here. No, I was not out on the lam. I did not try to skip out. I wasn't in hiding. I was just driving from, my place in California out to New Mexico so I can face and fight these charges. Right? Okay. So that's what we've seen so far. I mean, there's been other developments like, police were actually raiding his home in California, trying to get as much information, as much evidence as they could, because these allegations are very serious. There's been other allegations in the past about him with other women. But other than that, there hasn't been anything criminally charged against Timothy Busfield. One thing that he's claiming, before we go into the mucky muck of this particular article, or two different articles, I'm sorry, he claims that this was a disgruntled stage mom. Yeah, that this is a disgruntled stage mom that's upset that I don't know, maybe, I guess they were part of the show, and then these two young actors got cut from the show. So he's saying, no. The accuser's mom is a stage mom, and she's mad, and she's vengeful, and she wants to take me out because I didn't cast them again in the future episodes of this particular show. Okay? So mama, apparently, the accuser's mama got in her fee-fees about him not utilizing those kids again. So he's claiming this is all out of retaliation for not casting her kids in future episodes of this particular show that they were a part of. I leave that up to you guys. Nonetheless, these are some very, very serious allegations. And again, his career is screwed already. Now, it's done. It doesn't matter if he's able to. I'm just being real. I'm just keeping it a bean, guys. As soon as you get called in arrest, as soon as you get called someone who's putting your hands on littles in this type of way, whether it is true or not, you are screwed. It is a wrap. Your name is tarnished in Hollywood. Because here's the thing. Not everybody's going to remember let me just say this. If he's able to successfully exonerate himself, and they show without a shadow of a doubt that he is innocent and he never did any of these things that he's being alleged of doing, no matter what, people are going to remember the allegations. They're not going to remember. I'm not saying everybody, but there's, you know how it is. We all have selective memory or selective hearing. We're going to hear the allegations, but not hear, oh, he was exonerated, so he really didn't do those things. You see what I'm saying? It's really, really sad. You get what I'm saying? It's messed up. And there's a lot of other people that have been accused of doing crazy things like this, these kind of allegations, or worse, that have been exonerated, but we all still remember the moment when they were accused. We just don't remember the end result. You see what I'm saying? Was he ever found guilty on that? Was he ever found not guilty on that? So on and so forth, right? So it is really messed up. So let's take a look at this, okay? Because there's allegedly some audio we need to listen to that apparently is shocking information, shocking proof that could exonerate. I keep on saying exonerate, but I guess that's the word of the day, guys. Exonerate, right? It could exonerate Timothy Busfield, which is shocking as F. Okay? So let's take a look at this. Former crew member of Timothy Busfield on the set of The Cleaning Lady is coming to his defense, slamming accusations the director SA'd to child actors and claiming the kid's mother vowed to have TB's heirs. According to new court documents obtained by TMZ, Christopher Ford, a veteran Hollywood security guard, says he attended a lunch in New Mexico after filming the season 3 of the Cleaning Lady in March or April of 2024, and the mother of the two boys was present. Here's Busfield's mugshot. Ford claims that the mom got pissed while discussing whether her kids would return to the show, saying she would get Timothy Busfield and have his ass if her boys were not brought back for the next season. Ford confirms he personally heard that remark, claiming it was made before any formal complaint of inappropriate conduct had been filed with the authorities. Police say Busfield replaced the two boys with a younger boy, who had auditioned. So maybe they were growing up too fast. You know, maybe it was a Stranger Things problem. Maybe they were maturing too quickly or growing, you know what I mean? They were growing too fast. And they're like, well, we need a younger boy to stay with the timeline. Maybe that's the case, right? But the fact that the mom is like, you're gonna fire my kids? You're gonna fire my kids? Well, Busfield, I'm gonna have his ass. Okay, you just let him know I'm gonna have his ass. That's crazy, right? That is some stage mommy type stuff. In addition, Ford says the children's parents were always present whenever their kids were working. That is very important to hear. Ford says the children's parents were always present whenever their kids were working. Remember how we talked about this before, where it's like, you know, parents should always be with their kids who are minors at all times. Period. Okay? Especially on these types of sets. There are all kinds of creepazoids. It may not be the director. It may not be the producers. It may not be the casting agent. It could also just be the gaffer. You know, it could be a PA. You see what I'm saying? You must always be around your kids at all costs. I know it's annoying. I know your kids are going to get annoyed, but they're going to thank you later when they're not, you know, having issues in life later on, okay? Or having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for therapy, okay, therapy sessions. But let's continue. So the parents were always present when the kids were working, and says he observed the dad frequently encouraging them to hug people on set. Why? Including Busfield, in full view of others. That's interesting. I mean, I get it. like, thanks, you're trying to create a good relationship with the on set with these other people, blah, blah, blah. The fact that it is in full view of others shows that there's no way, unless Busfield did something very deplorable, like he made a move on one of these kids, you know what I mean, in front of everybody, then there would be eyewitnesses saying, yeah, I seen it. Timmy, okay, did some really bad things. And I saw it. We all saw it. Hundreds of people were standing there watching him make inappropriate gestures to this little. But that's not what it sounds like here. Interesting, right? Ford also says he never witnessed Busfield alone with the children, adding there was no realistic opportunity for private contact because other people were always visible or in earshot. Ford goes on to say all interactions between Busfield and the child actors took place in open areas of the set, surrounded by cast, crew, and parents. I got to hit the dun dun dun. Wow. Let me just say this really quick. Now, this is just an eyewitness. This is just one eyewitness. I'm sure there's going to be other people that are going to step forward and say some things. There may be other people saying, I didn't see any of that. The kids were always locked. They were always in their trailer. You see what I'm saying? There could be, some sort of opposing view to what this security guard is saying, but it is still very shocking to hear about this. Okay? Still extremely shocking to hear this right here. Okay? But let us continue, shall we? What say you so far? Do you think that this kind of stuff helps Timothy Busfield's case, or do you think that this is just one big red herring? This is just a fugazi trying to make Timothy Busfield look like he's a good guy. But let's continue. TMZ says, as we reported, Busfield surrendered to Albuquerque police last week after a warrant was issued for his arrest, claiming that he essayed 2 children on the set of The Cleaning Lady. Prosecutors charged Busfield with 2 counts of criminal contact, let's just S contact, okay, of a minor, and 1 count of CA. So, according to the court documents filed Monday, the 2 child actors accusing Busfield of inappropriately putting his hands on them, okay, initially told police the exact opposite in audio recordings of police interviews in November of 2024. We're going to be listening to that in just a minute. Prosecutors state the boys only revealed the alleged A after they underwent therapy sessions in September of 2025, with one of the boys telling the counselor Busfield had, you can read that. I'm not saying that out loud. He put it, he shouldn't have had it. He had hands in places that should not have been there. Okay. Long story short, on the little. All right. Busfield has denied all allegations and is currently being held without bond. His legal team says he passed an independent lie detector test. Oh, related to these allegations, and claims a Warner Brothers internal investigation found no evidence of misconduct. So, very interesting, don't you think, me loves? Very interesting. Let's hear this interview. But we got to see some. Do you need shoes? Do you need a pair of shoes? Go over to DSW. You'll get great shoes for the discount of a lifetime. DSW, just call me. All right. I could use some ads. How's that? Sponsors. Sup. Holler at your boy. No. Okay. Somebody need Norman, you need some Nikes? You need some Nikes, bro. You need some Nikes? You just said Nike. Reebok. Like, what's going on, man? You good? I'm playing. All right. Let's take a listen. Let's see what this says, or let's see what they say. Okay? Let's go.
So, you know what's right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
You know no one could touch your private areas?
Yeah, but he didn't touch them.
Doesn't touch your private parts? Okay. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Repeat that again.
Yeah.
You know no one could touch your private areas?
Yeah, but he didn't touch them.
Doesn't touch your private parts? Okay. Okay. And you know what's right and wrong, right? You know where people can't touch, where people can't do. Yeah, you know that, right? Does Tim ever do that?
No, he's never touched me.
Never touched you?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
In like, you know, your private areas, right?
Yeah.
Never did that?
Never.
Yeah.
I'm going to play that one more time. So they made sure that the kid knew the difference between, you know, like it's wrong to put your hands on someone unwanted in specific areas. So the kid acknowledged, I know that that's not right. Right? Then he went and said, hey, has Timothy ever done that to you? And what did the boy say? The boy knew the difference between right and wrong when it comes to that, right? And the kid said, he never touched me like that. That is massive. Okay, but we're going to discuss that here in just a second. Let's I'm going to play one more time so you guys can hear that one more time.
So, you know what's right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
You know no one could touch your private areas?
Yeah, but he didn't touch them.
Doesn't touch your private parts? Okay. Okay. And you know what's right and wrong, right? You know where people can't touch, where people can't do. Yeah, you know that, right? Does Tim ever do that?
No, he's never touched me.
Never touched you?
Yeah.
In like, you know, your private areas, right?
Yeah.
Never did that?
Never.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. One, this is extremely important audio here. This is exculpatory. This is exculpatory, or could be exculpatory evidence for the trial that he's walking into. Come on now. But here's the thing, though. They said later, this boy said, oh, no. Or the boys later on said, hey, he did, after going and talking to somebody else. Now, this is where it gets tough. This is when we start skating on thin ice. We're already on thin ice, but thinner ice. How's that? There is a possibility that the kid did not tell the truth during this interview, this initial interview. And then when they sat down with a therapist, that's when they finally came out with the information. Okay? Now, let me just make this abundantly clear, because I know all of us are wanting to know some stuff. So let me just read this again. According to court documents filed on Monday, the two child actors accusing of, Busfield doing this thing, all right, told police the exact opposite, saying that he didn't touch them in audio recordings of police interviews in November of 2024. Now, November 2024 is what we're listening to right here. Then they say prosecutors state the boys only revealed that the alleged attacks happened after they underwent therapy sessions in September of 2025. So several months later, by the way, that's when they have a therapy session, and then they say, nope, he put his hands on me. Right? Now, two things, two different options, maybe three. One, they're lying. Sorry. One, they're lying. Two, they're telling the truth. But they told the truth later. So they're lying And mama's trying to get revenge because she's a stage mom and she's mad. And she wants to make, she wants to make them ducats. She wants them dineros. And she wants to destroy a man's career all at the same time. And after they were like, no, he never did any of that stuff to me. She goes, oh, no, sons, come here. We're going to talk. And then started to convince them that something bad happened. And then when they went to a therapy session, that's when all the truth came out, right? Or they were too scared to talk about it back then in November when they first initially got interviewed by police, because that can be really intimidating. You got cops in your face and all that. And then later, during a therapy session, they finally they finally confessed and admitted that this guy, Timothy Busfield, did put his hands on them. That is possible. That is possible. Yeah, they either got coached or they finally mustered up enough courage to speak out about the situation. It's either or. But what the information that we just received from the security guard doesn't help the situation, doesn't help her situation, the mom's situation at all. Given the fact that she's like, I'm gonna get his ass. You're not casting my son, my kids in the next, episodes? No. I will get his ass. His ass is gonna fry, right? That's not good. Especially when you have a security guard hearing that information, being eyewitness and being within earshot of her saying those things. And then fast forward a year later, accusations, charges are being brought to Timothy Busfield. It's interesting, right? It's very, very interesting, especially when you have a security guard basically saying, yo, those kids were never anywhere alone with Timothy Busfield. Every conversation that they ever had with Timothy Busfield was in public, in front of other cast members, other crew members. This was never, ever, none of this where he possibly touched them inappropriately. That would have not happened. Not with all these people walking around and being in front of these kids. Here's the other thing too, and I know Tim Hawkins keeps saying this over and over and over again in the chat, and it's true. It's kind of tough to fake a lie detector test. It's kind of tough. I know it can be done. I'm not sitting here saying that it can't be done. I know it can be done, but at the same time, he's been accused of things with women, not littles, not little boys. So this is very shocking. This information, it could potentially exonerate Timothy Busfield before this even gets into trial. It could very well be a stage mom mad as F that her kids were not being recast in the show, and they decided to recast that part with a younger boy. And now she's like, I'll have his ass. And she said it out loud, y'all. According to an eyewitness, according to a security guard, this is not great. But this is the problem. This is the world that we live in. Because now, unfortunately, this man, Timothy Busfield's career is completely destroyed. It's completely destroyed. Because now everybody's going to be looking at him like he is the predator that she has dressed him up to be. Let me just say this, if and only if these allegations and that recording, etc., proof positive that those people, those kids were coached to say those things because of a vengeful stage mom. That is insane. But what's so sad is the damage is already done. And you got Melissa Gilbert, if I'm correct, from from Little House on the Prairie, etc., married to this man. And now he could literally, if he's exonerated for these things, he's going to have a hard time in Hollywood trying to get a job. Remember what happened with Michael Jackson? Yeah, I said it. Hold up. Remember what happened with Michael Jackson? Whether you agree with whether you think Michael Jackson did it or not, no matter what, as soon as the first allegation came out, what happened next? A tidal wave of allegations came out, right? Now, I don't know where you stand on whether Michael Jackson did it or not, but one thing's for sure. As soon as an allegation comes out like this, as disgusting and as egregious as this, what happens? A tidal wave of other allegations come out from other people who say that they've been victimized by that particular celebrity. Look at Diddy, for example. Sorry, gotta say it. Look at the diddler. Not every single person that has come out saying that they were a victim of Diddy is actually telling the truth. I'm sorry, guys. And I'm a guy who wants to believe all the victims, but I'm sorry. We live in a world where people make things up just for a buck, y'all. People will sit here and go, "Ooh, yeah, Timothy did that. He did it to me too." If he didn't do anything and he's innocent, he's in a world of trouble now. He better not, if he ever gets to direct or act ever again. If I were him, I'd be like, do not ever have me work with any children. I'm being real. I'm sorry. I'd be like, make sure that this is a show where I don't work with any children. Period. Make it a sci-fi movie where there's in a world where children don't exist. We can't procreate anymore. You know what I mean? Like, real talk. He will not be able to work comfortably without the worry of somebody going, he just did that to my kid too. And then boom, allegations, right? Look at R. Kelly. Look at Bill Cosby. I mean, there's a treasure trove of successful entertainers that are out here that now, I mean, all of them that are locked up and got exactly what they deserved. All right. But you got to remember, even those particular people, some of them were lying. Some of them were just trying to make a meal. Okay. All of them, not all of them, but I'm saying a good portion, okay, of these people will come through like Diddy. Remember the woman who was autistic? I'll just stop right there. Do you remember that? Anybody remember the autistic woman? Went outside to the VMAs, found a chauffeur that was driving one of his limos, said he likes your kind, he likes your look. Come on, hop into this car. I'm going to drive you out to this white house in the suburbs of New York that has a circle driveway. Remember her? She went into this party, was talking to people from not Blink 182, the Twins. I forgot not Simple Plan. What the hell's that damn band? Good Charlotte. There it is. Talking with Good Charlotte. Saw a whole bunch of celebrities. Went into a room. Jay-Z and Diddy did unthinkable things while Celebrity B was in the corner. Female Celebrity B was in the corner watching this whole thing go down. Oh, let's not forget she climbed out of the window of her home that was hours away from New York City and got down there, and then dad had to go out and pick her up after this terrible thing that happened to her. And even the dad is like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Remember all that? He's like, hey, if that was true, I would remember that. My daughter sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night and then suddenly getting a call from her and living on about 5 hours away from New York City and having to get up and drive out there and pick her up. Remember that whole freaking case? All those allegations? That was all on Diddler. And Jay-Z. Jay-Z got dragged into the group chat. He got pissed. Remember that? So I'm just trying to point something out. I'm not sitting here saying that all allegations or all people who step forward and accuse these celebrities of doing these things. I'm not sitting here saying that they're all liars. But there are some that are. And that's unfortunate that we live in a world where that has happened. Now, I will say this. The woman that was the autistic woman who also had brain damage, if I'm correct, she may have in her own mind believed that actually happened. In her mind. That could have just been fabricated in her mind because of her mental health, her mental state, etc. But there are a lot of other people that have made up some very crazy, wild, and elaborate lies, accusations, allegations on these other celebrities that are all, some of them are spending time in prison right now as we speak for crimes that they actually did commit. So that's the one thing I get concerned about when it comes to someone like him. If he's exonerated, he's in a world of trouble now. Everything will be super sensitive now. In fact, if he actually works again, he might have to have somebody go and talk to the children separately from him. Real talk. He might have to have a PA handle the kids. If he's ever to work in Hollywood ever again. Because no matter what, he's a sitting target now. It's crazy. Man, do you guys remember the other one? Where the girl went into the room. She went to this is the other Diddy one. Remember this? This is crazy. And we haven't heard anything circle back about those allegations. Remember the girl who said that she went to she was at a bar. She met a dude at a bar, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm friends with Diddy," and then he called her, or he called Diddy, and on this FaceTime call, she called him out for his possible involvement with Tupac. So then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to get you for that," kind of thing, right? And then she somehow gets invited to the guy that she met at the bar's place, because he was not feeling well and he needed help with his cancer medications. Yet they went on a joyride in his car, came back, were in there, then suddenly out of nowhere, Diddy comes in and you know, kind of like, surprise, you know what I mean? Surprise, mother lover. And then a group R happened with the likes of Drewski and Odell Beckham, and they were doing slip and slide on her. Do you guys remember? Did we ever hear anything about that ever again? And there's more to it, but I'm going to stop on that. In fact, there were people that were actually getting moved around, and they ended up at that house in another room. So they were getting moved around, ended up in that actual house in another room, walked in, saw everything that went down. Do you guys remember this ish? No one's talking about that crap anymore. Whatever happened to that? No one's talking about that. Yeah, it was Drewski. Odell Beckham Jr., if I'm correct. All these people that were in the room. And it's nuts. We read the whole freaking thing. 2 different versions. It was like 2 different stories that combined into one. It was absolutely knuckin' futz. Okay? Have we heard anything about those? The girl went and did an interview on News Nation. She was just like silhouetted out. I'm just saying. They're going to be people. And I don't know if that one didn't feel real. Remember, they went into the backyard. She ran out into the backyard. And then the one of the dudes was talking about, like, Diddy was mad about some things that she was saying, mentioned the Tupac thing. And then out of nowhere, excuse me, hold on. Ooh, I got to sneeze. And then out of nowhere, hold on. Oh my gosh. Don't you hate that when okay. Excuse me. And then out of nowhere, as soon as she mentioned the Tupac thing to Diddy and that they're having a banter back and forth, the security guard, who just was a part of the group R, pulls out his weapon to Diddy and goes, What's this about? What's this about Tupac? And then there was a firefight. You guys don't remember that? Have mercy. Have mercy. And then she ran out the house. And then that same security guard ran out and was like, hey, don't worry. I'm an undercover cop. What? But you just committed a crime with the woman. Okay. That was a real thing. I was like, this is the wildest Tyler Perry script I've ever seen. She did an interview. She did an interview with her lawyer on News Nation, silhouetted out and everything. See what I'm saying? So some of these, and whether or not that's true, I have no idea. I have not heard anything about those cases. Have they been dropped? Have they continued? I have no clue. But one thing is for sure. You know for a fact there are people out here that see these opportunities. They see these actors. They see these celebrities that are well off, don't know how well off he is, okay? But nonetheless, people come through and try to destroy people quick for a bag. Just absolutely insane. So what say you guys on that? To me, it is shocking that we now have those recordings, but it could literally be a situation where those kids were coached, or they were too scared to say and admit it in the very beginning, and finally revealed the truth later. So what say you? Okay, what say you? I mean, Medusa, Drewski did, speak out about it, and he's like, that he kind of just laughed it off like that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? But I feel like anybody who's read the allegations and the reports on that, the filing on that, I don't think anyone could fully, truly believe it 110%. It is out there. It is literally out there. What's being said, right? But maybe that's still out there. Like, as far as maybe a trial's still going to happen, I have no idea. But those allegations were wild. Okay, you got the VMAs girl, and then you got the slip and slide girl. Just wild. So we got to continue on, though. All right, got to venture into the political land. All right, time for politics. So Kristi Noem. And then, of course, we have hold on, guys. Yeah, in about 7 minutes, we have a press conference that's supposed to be popping off here very, very shortly. So Kristi Noem put this up just yesterday, and I thought that this was interesting. Didn't see it until this morning. I think this is just pretty wild, okay? So she says, peace and public safety in Minneapolis, in all caps. We have arrested over 10,000 criminal illegal aliens who were taking the lives of Americans, hurting children, and raining terror in Minneapolis. 10,000 of them. Criminal illegal aliens that were out there taking the lives of people, hurting all these Minneapolians or whatever. Minneapolians. I don't know how you say it, but people from Minneapolis. Okay. So because Tim Walz and Jacob Fry refused to protect their own people and instead protect criminals. In the last 6 weeks, Our brave DHS law enforcement have arrested 3,000 criminal illegal aliens, including various monsters, the Mers, Rs, child PDFs, and incredibly dangerous individuals. A huge victory for public safety. There is massive fraud in Minneapolis, at least $19 billion. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our Homeland Security investigators are on the ground in Minneapolis, conducting wide-scale investigations to get justice for the American people who have been robbed blind. Make America safe again. Now, what say you guys on this? 10,000 criminal illegal aliens have been detained. 10,000 of them in Minneapolis. That's insane. But is it true, though? Is it true? Now, I get it. The fraud that's going on in Minneapolis is absolutely insane. All right, the daycare, all that. But there's fraud in all kinds of cities. I guarantee you, it's not only just Minneapolis, where It's not only in Minneapolis. It's everywhere. People are always, if there's an opportunity to shave $1 here or that kind of thing, everyone's doing it. Okay, but do you believe it? What she's saying here? Do you believe the hype or no? I think it's a bit shocking. That's a big number. But if they're doing exactly what they say they're doing, if they're going ham on this stuff, I'm actually not surprised the amount of people that they've actually detained, right? Yeah, I'll be doing a poll in a little while. Okay. I feel like we're doing a poll every show now. But I'm curious, what say you on that? She's saying 10,000 plus illegal immigrants. And of course, these are all different types from all races. It's not only just Somali. They're arresting a whole bunch of people from what she's claiming. Okay. Hold on, guys. Kristi Noem. All right. Let us see here. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Okay. Let's check out this interview with Face the Nation with Kristi Noem. I think it's funny that it's Face the Nation, especially when we're talking about Kristi Noem. But let's take a look.
Castlewood, South Dakota, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Good morning to you, Madam Secretary.
Good morning.
Well, DHS calls this the largest operation in its history, nearly 3,000 federal agents out there. Is this an open-ended deployment, or is there a metric for success that ends it?
Well, I think every day we get a murderer off the streets of Minneapolis, the public is safer, and President Trump is keeping his promise to the American people. And we literally have arrested and detained thousands of illegal criminals in Minnesota since President Trump came back into the White House. And I've never met a family that ever said, oh, I wish you would have left that rapist free. I wish you would have left that murderer on the streets. So we're just so thankful that we have a president that's upholding the law and is determined to make sure that the laws are applied equally to everyone.
According to Pew, Minnesota's population of immigrants here illegally stands at 2.2%. So how do you judge when you've gotten everyone off the streets that you say is, requiring your federal agents be there? How do you say we've had mission accomplished?
Well, we won't stop until we are sure that all the dangerous people are picked up, brought to justice, and then deported
You
back
don't
to
have
their
a
home
number
countries.
or a date?
We wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be in this situation if Joe Biden hadn't allowed our open border policies to be in place.
All right,
and
Jillian, let's
allowed
bring in Chief.
up to 20 million people unvetted into this country. We have no idea how many dangerous people are here. When you have millions of people coming in that are terrorists, suspected terrorists, criminals, come from countries in the mass migration that the Biden administration facilitated, I can't tell the people of Minnesota exactly how many dangerous criminals they have. I do know that they're extremely grateful every time we get a pedophile off the street. We arrested an individual this week that was raping children. I think those parents in Minnesota can sleep better at night knowing that that person isn't free.
Sure.
Okay, let me just say this, okay? At some point, they have to come up with a different they got to come up with a different tactic. I'm sorry. Every time that they talk about anything, they resort to the past administration. That's all they do. It's always Biden. Why not just stand on your laurels and just say, hey, we're doing this because we do believe that there's too many people here that are here illegally. And that's it. That's all you need to do. But they just keep on saying that over and over and over again. And I'm telling you right now, see, there's going to be people who are going to instantly believe it and just say, hey, yeah, it has to do with all that. And it's the, Kamala was the border czar and she should have done this, that, and the third. It's all her fault. Okay, fine. But you've already had that talking point. We've already heard that. So let's talk about what you guys are doing out here, and stop leaning on just the fact that it's Biden. Okay. We already know that now. Let's move on. You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine being in, like, this is just, like I said, it's like this toxic relationship crap. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine being in a relationship like this, and all they do is just keep on bringing up the past relationships that you've had. How is that a life worth living? You see what I'm saying? Is that a life worth living? At some point, you're going to be like, oh, God, why you keep on bringing her up again? Have mercy. Can we move on? We're in a relationship here. Let's move on. Okay? Let's make it better here. Quit going over here and blaming the old stuff. This has nothing to do with what we're at right now. Let's move the F on. Face the nation. You know what I mean?
But you just said millions. What's the breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
So she answered but not answered at the same. Okay. She answered but not answered at the same damn time.
It's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys
have
keep
detained
changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think
Excuse me?
work. But that
Wait, hold on. She just said that, right? Am I on crack? Did I lose my mind? Hold up. I'm just making sure that the press conference hasn't started yet. It hasn't started yet, but it's going to be happening here soon. I want to make sure that I'm not losing my mind. Hold on.
committed a criminal act from other on violence. 70.
She said it. Hold on.
Every single
criminal.
Let's
What's
go-
the breakdown?
Let's have her ask the question one more time. Just real quick.
better at night knowing that that person isn't free.
Sure, but you just said millions. What's the
Jesus.
breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
What is the breakdown? What is the percentage? How many people? What is the percentage of people who are actually out there just protesting and saying F ICE that you have detained? And how many of these other people are actually criminal illegals that you've detained, right? Okay.
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
Hold on. Did you hear that word salad? Am I the only one who heard word salad? What?
Committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction.
Break it down.
Every single individual has committed a crime, but
Okay. Every individual that has been detained has committed a crime. Yet we've heard countless people who have been detained that have been actually let go without getting charged with any crimes. Okay, but let's continue. I'm talking about just American citizens, but let's go.
70% of them
70%.
have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes. And
70% of them have committed a violent crime.
crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are
That's-
here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
So 70% of the people that have been arrested are people that have committed crimes in the past. But of course, they're committing a crime for being here in America, but then they also committed a crime here while being in America as well. 70% of those people that have been detained in Minneapolis did that. That's interesting. But you realize, do you see that talk circle that she did? She was talking in circles. That's wild. But it's just ramble. Hold on. But let's continue.
It's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys
have
keep
detained
changing
has-
your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts. Is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth. It absolutely is that these law enforcement officers are out there every day doing the work to protect the American people, and they will keep doing that because they believe in enforcing the law, which is exactly what President Trump has charged them with.
Okay. So she just said, okay, so that is 70%. Like, that's really 70%? That's 70%? All of them are 70%. Okay. Okay. And she's like, you're just putting words in my mouth, blah, blah, blah. No. Diane just said this. They're using the numbers to their advantage, Pascal. They detain the people they don't like. The ones that are actually arrested and charged are presumed criminals. Like she says, pick and choose your number. Yeah. I think, yeah, this is nuts. This is nuts.
Okay. Well, our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers, 47% have criminal convictions against them. But let's talk about the other numbers.
Wrong again.
So what is it then? Is it 70% or is it 48%? Okay, or 40, whatever, right? What's the real number here? That doesn't make any sense. And you'd expect her, of all people, to come in with the facts, not just her talking. You see what I'm saying? Hold on. I'm going to hear what she says.
Well, our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers.
47%. And she's saying 70% of the people that they're detaining are all criminals. Evil, violent, vile criminals. But Face the Nation's going, nope. One second, guys. We're going to have to come back to this, I guess, as we get ready. Press conference is supposed to be happening here very shortly. Crazy. And remember, Trump is all about getting Greenland. He's all about getting Greenland. So what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here?
Because of all the traffic.
Anytime now.
That's when I guess people just say,
Actually, you know what? I do have a poll. I'm going to put up this poll right now. Hold on. Boom. Quick and easy. What's so funny in there? Interesting, Star Fury. Let me mute this real quick. First off, people can say what they want to say as long as you guys are using, don't use these kinds of, trigger words that the platform does not like. It's very simple, guys. All right. You can state your opinion. You're absolutely allowed to state your opinion, whether you are liberal, whether you are conservative, you are all welcome here. I just want to make that abundantly clear. There's just a few rules. Be kind to each other. Don't use four-letter words, four-letter language. Okay. Bad words. Okay. And don't write everything in caps. It's a simple question or a simple ask. That's it. But you guys can state your opinions. All right. That's it. My mods are just trying to do everything they can to keep this place, this chat clean, because of course, YouTube doesn't like that kind of stuff. Just so you guys know. Now, Star Fury just said something, and shout out to my mods. Okay. Thank you so much for holding it down. All right. Yeah, no four-letter words. You get what I'm saying. All right. No bad language. All right. Use code words, etc. All right. I struggle every day to try not to curse on this show as best as I can. So the channel does not have any issues. Okay. So I hope you guys can respect that and do the same. Say what you want to say. Let it rip. All right. But be respectful. Don't use foul language. Don't write everything in all caps. Okay. That's it. Simple ask. All right, guys. Star Fury just said, absolutely, we should take Greenland. I would re-enlist for the army for that tour of duty. Why? Why, Star Fury? Why should we take Greenland? Is it solely because of what Trump has been saying, that we need to have that for our own security? Do you agree with that or not? To me, I look at this and I go, I look at this and say, hey, this whole thing has everything to do with what's under the ice. The potential of oil and other types of riches that are under that ice. Man, come on now. That's the only other reason. I mean, aside from us being distracted from the, this is a distraction from the Epstein files. This is what I think too. Okay. But outside of that, the only reason why I could see him going, hey, I want Greenland, is because he wants more oil. Let's be real. We have Venezuela. It's done. That is untapped oil that now is about to they're about to turn the faucet on. It's going to come out like a freaking fire hose. Get ready for it. It's going to be insane. I feel like the only other reason why that he would want Greenland is what's underneath that ice. Sure. And of course, to basically say that, now we have maybe we have an army base there, or, whatever, some sort of base there to protect and oversee what could be coming to America, right, as protection. I can see that. I get it. I see it. But to steal it, to basically bully our way into getting Greenland, I feel like that is a start of something that we don't want to start. Okay? So I don't see the benefit of it, because I worry about what's going to happen to the world in reaction to what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to strong arm the situation. He's not sitting there going, hey, yeah, let's, okay, you don't want us to take Greenland? Okay, fine. We'll move away. Moving on. Well, on to greener pastures, on to other obsessions, right? No, he's sitting there going, okay, I'm going to put up tariffs on this. I'm going to do this, that, and the third. He's strong arming his way into trying to get Greenland. And then, of course, he even said in a post, or in, a letter to Norway, okay, to Jonas, the prime minister, right? He said, okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more President Peace. I want Greenland because I didn't get that Nobel Peace Prize. F you, bro. I want my Greenland. That's insane. Yes, guys. And Mary, I agree 110%. He's getting billions and billions of dollars right now, guys. And all that money is not going to, right now, that money's not going to America. It's going right into his mother-loving pocket. It's all about riches and getting paid, baby. So again, him going and getting Greenland, it's the rich that are going to get rich. It's the poor that are going to stay poor. So again, getting Greenland, is that a good idea? Do you agree or not? I put it in the poll. Go over there. Vote in the poll. All right? Go vote in the poll. Okay, one thing is for sure. I got to get this super chat. I'm going to get it now. I'm going to get the super chats and the things, because there's only a few right now. So I'm just going to do it now. Okay, so Reed, thank you so much for gifting one membership. Welcome to the family, whoever became a member. Okay, thank you so much for the support. Welcome to the family, new member. And she just gifted you something. So all I ask for you to do is pay it forward. We need so much more positivity in the world right now. There's so much anger. There's so much divisive BS going on in the world. So open the door for somebody, be nice to somebody, give somebody a compliment, whatever, as long as it doesn't get you in trouble. Okay. Do the right thing and do the nice thing, right? Pay it forward. Kimberly, thank you so much for being a member for so long. 2:30 a.m. in Japan, and I randomly wake up to see this. The showbiz world is scary. Saying that, sending love to Pascal and Fanburgers. Thank you so much, Kimberly in Japan. We love you too. Thank you so much for all the love. All the way in Japan watching this show. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. You could be sleeping right now, but you're watching the show. I appreciate you. Let's let's continue. And yeah, damn right. Hold on. Before we get into this, Star, see, this is the problem. The world that we live in. Where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. Holly, welcome back. Thanks for resubbing. But here's the thing. I shouldn't have to explain myself. Okay? I'm talking about the news. I'm talking about what's going on in the world. And here's the thing. We all have differing opinions. I'm not going to sit and be on one side of the fence for everything. That is just insane in my personal opinion. There are things that are going on in the world that I do agree with. There are things that I don't agree with that are going on in the world. And some things would sound like I'm conservative. And there's other things that would make me sound like I'm liberal. I'm me. Okay? I am me, just like you guys are you. So here's the thing. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. But here's the thing. I will always think with my own mind on how things are going on in the world, just like you guys should as well. All right? Just like you guys. Just because MAGA is saying something and you happen to be MAGA doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. If you don't agree with it, then you don't agree with it, baby. And it's the same thing on the liberal side. If something's going on liberally, you know, that's going on, some sort of liberal rhetoric, and you're liberal as hell, and you're going, I don't really agree with that. That's okay. You don't have to just stand with one side or the other just because it sounds good for whatever political bias you are on. That is insane. Let us be ourselves. Oh my God. How many times do I have to say that? Be yourselves. Think independently and critically for yourself, because at the end of the day, okay, at the end of it all, you have to deal with it yourself. Okay, you're the only one that has to answer for yourself and the decisions that you make for your children and for your family, if you have children and have a family. Okay? We don't always have to be like a hive mind. And hive minds are happening on both sides of the fence, by the way, guys. It's going blue and it's red. If you're not saying these particular talking points, then you're not MAGA. If you're not saying these particular talking points, then you're not a leftist or a liberal. My Lord. This is why I encourage everybody to listen to things, different opinions. Yes, listen to Ben Shapiro if you want to, right? But then listen to Kyle Krapinski when you get a chance. Hear differing thoughts and opinions about what's going on in the world. Don't just put yourself in an echo chamber and only think that one way. It's a very lonely world, and it's a very, very angry world too, if you're only looking on one side. Think for yourself, guys. That's wild, because, you know, everybody's like, oh, I'm unsubbing because Pascal said this one thing that I don't agree with about how Trump is running the world. Well, get ready, because there's a lot of things I don't agree with that Trump is doing. But then at the same time, there's other things I do agree with. Because I'm me. Damn. Just like you are you. Think for yourselves, my ladies and gentlemen. Think for yourselves, please. So as we wait, let me get this super chat though. As we wait, and I will keep saying that till I'm blue in the face. Think for yourself. That should be a t-shirt. Damn, I need to write that down. Think for yourselves. Star Fury just said, we will be fine. Plus, wars are good for the economy. Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, we've seen that countless times. But here's the thing. What's so sad about this is that you got Trump, who's supposed to be Mr. Peace, President Peace, possibly putting us in a very, very sticky situation. And a very big one, too. A very big war, if that happens. Especially when if this has to do with Greenland, and you got other places like NATO, our allies going up there and being like, oh, no, Trump, you better not. It's bad. It's bad. And I don't think that this is the kind of war that Trump wants his name stamped onto. I'm just being real. But again, you said, but let's be real. No country will go to war with us. Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that? I'm just saying, are we sure about that, guys? That's the one thing I'm worried about, because there's plenty of countries that would definitely be like, yo, we could take him. Some of these leaders have Napoleon complex, and I mean that metaphorically and literally speaking. Okay, so again, we sure about that? Trump is feeling good. Okay, right now he feels like he could do whatever he wants because of what happened in Venezuela. But at the same time, at the end of the day, he does not want to have his name attached to the this is not the kind of war, like if it was to potentially turn into a war, this is not a war that he wants to attach his brand to. There's a lot of people that would walk away from MAGA. A lot. Doesn't matter. Yes, there's the sycophants, there's the psychopaths out there that are just like, let it rain. You know what I mean? World War III, let's go, baby. Those people are insane. Okay? But there's going to be a lot of his MAGA base that would step even further away from him because he started a war. Remember, the one thing, his main claim to fame is that he's ended 8 wars plus. I am President Peace. Don't forget all that. And then suddenly he starts World War Trace. That would be insane. So much for that title. And so much for his MAGA base. I'm just letting you know. He ends 8 wars, but starts the biggest war. I'm just saying, think about that for a second. He ends 8, but then he starts, let's just say he started World War Trace. 2 dubs cubed. If you're a math nerd, you get what the cubed. Okay. But anyway, that would be super bad, guys. Super bad. But sure, yeah, war is good for the economy. Absolutely. See, that's one thing. Like Star Fury, I'm still quite curious about that. Like I'm just gonna let you know, I'm still quite curious about that. Why it does so well for the economy? I don't get it. What? Because we have to produce more weapons, and that's why we make money off of that. I've always been curious. How does war help the country's economy? Does anybody know that? Like, I know that is a thing, but I've always wondered, what is it? Where is it? Where does that start? Where does that happen? You see what I'm saying? Think about it. Where would that happen? Or like, where do we see the change in the economy when a war starts? Somebody just said, remember NAM? Yeah, NAM was a cluster F. That was a bad idea. You know? Let's see. Sarfuri just said, but now he has the Nobel Peace Prize now. Yeah. But he has it, but he doesn't have it. You see what I'm saying? Because more war means more contracts. Oh, I see. That's the ingredient. Ooh, yeah. But now he's got the Nobel Peace Prize, but he doesn't have it. You see what I'm saying? Sure, you could put his name on it and you can give it to him in a plaque and all that, and it's all nice and framed up and everything. But the committee's like, he ain't going down in history as a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He just basically bullied his way into getting the award. It's like Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. When Happy Gilmore wins and he's about to put on the jacket, he wins the tournament. He's about to put on the jacket, and then Shooter McGavin grabs the jacket and then just runs with it. That's Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize. Still doesn't mean that he won. He just grabbed it. He's just wearing the jacket, trying to put the jacket on, right? Nobody remember that movie, Happy Gilmore? Anybody? Maybe. Don't watch the sequel. It sucked. But the first one, classic. But just because he has in his possession that gold jacket, that yellow jacket, right, does not mean he's the winner. You understand? So he can try all day long to sit there and go, well, you're gonna I got it. So now you're gonna make me the Nobel Peace Prize winner. Come on, guys. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Doesn't that seem a bit pathetic? Doesn't that seem a bit sad? You know what? Actually, it seems a little deranged and crazy. Does that not seem like that to you? Just a little bit? That he's a sore loser? That's not good. And I'm not trying to call him a loser. I'm saying he's just being he's being sore about it, about losing. That's not good. And now he's sitting there going like, well, I guess I'm not really about peace anymore. So that's what I'm going to do. What? What? It's sad. There's always next year, baby. Or maybe he's like, I can't do next year because Ish is about to hit the fan next year. Maybe that's what he means. Because, this is all phase one to whatever plan he has. You really think that he's out here just shooting from the hip on everything right now? Hail to the no. He sat down. He had 4 years to figure this stuff out. This is Trump 2.0. This is just phase one. We're entering phase two. Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Yes, Pascal. Yes, Pascal being Pascal is the reason why I'm here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Holly, welcome to the family. Thank you so much. Are we going to get started here? And then Jocelyn just said, wait. Okay, never mind. False alarm. I'll take Trump over Kamala's closed borders and alone. Here's the thing. When it comes to everything that's going on with that, okay. I mean, that's your opinion. I just think that what we're seeing right now in the streets is not a country united. It is a country absolutely divided, and we're back at where we were before, and that's not great. That's not a good thing that we're back again. You see what I'm saying? With this crap. What happened the first term, there was a lot of turmoil and a lot of problems for 4 years. And I'm not talking about what Trump was doing, but what the country was reacting. How the country reacted was very bad, okay? That was not great. Now we're back at that again, but now it's 2.0. It's a little different, but it's the same. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, guys. Okay? So let me see what's going on here. Let's hear a little bit.
Off the record. Oh, don't worry. Trust the cool cameras up there.
Are we almost ready here? Damn. Mm-mm-mm. Man, what is going on? Like, this is this, like, you know, this was supposed to happen. You know, I know that they're never on time, right? They're never on time, but this was supposed to happen almost sorry guys. Okay. This is ridiculous. Taking is Swedish. I mean, unless she's like, are we deploying troops in Greenland right now? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? This is just insane. Anytime now. No, the sound is on, guys. The sound is on. We're just waiting for everybody's in that room just waiting. I'm going to see if there's some other news here. What? Huh? Hold on. Everybody's in that room. Sound is on, baby. Hit that refresh button then. You might want to hit that refresh button. Sound is on. We doing good. We doing good. Sound is cranking. Random left turn question. But what's the big freaking deal? What's the big freaking deal about David Beckham and Victoria Beckham? What's the big deal about that? Every time I open up the like these news outlets, they're all losing their minds over this Brooklyn Beckham, David Beckham, Victoria Beckham. What is going on? Who gives a? What's going on? Does anybody know what the hell's going on with that? Thank you, Tipsy. Yep. But what the F is going on? Right? Yeah, like this is so stupid. I mean, I might hop over to this other stuff before we. Three-Eye Atlas. Is it? I thought it was supposed to be here. I thought it already what? I thought that's already done. Three-Eye Atlas. Hold on. Jeez Louise, what's going on, y'all? What's taking so damn long? This is stupid. This is dumb. All right. We got plenty of other things to look at while we freaking wait. So I'm not going to sit here and just wait for this. Or wait like this. How's that? We were still looking at this interview with Kristi Noem. Okay. So we're going to look at that for now while we wait. Okay.
37% have criminal convictions against them. But let's talk about the other
You're
numbers.
wrong again. Absolutely. We'll get you the correct numbers so you can use them in the future.
Well, that's from your agency. Let's talk about our numbers here at CBS. 54% of Americans think the ICE agent shooting of Renee Good was not justified. 60% say the Trump administration responded to the ICE agent's actions unfairly. These numbers show you do not have the American public on your side.
Now, I just want to point something out here really quick, because we're still in here. We're going to get to the press conference whenever it starts, whatever the hell it starts, y'all, because it's, we're still here waiting for this mother lover to start. Okay. But one thing's for sure. I want to make this abundantly clear. This is CBS News, by the way, guys. This is CBS News. So I guess they're not really, I guess they're still in Trump's back pocket, but I guess they're still going in on her. This is interesting. See, when it comes to like CBS, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, if they, I think that still exists. Those channels, right? They're very, very right leaning. Now CBS is very right leaning, right? Yeah, some people are calling it the new Fox. So it is interesting that on Face the Nation, this particular anchor is on like, oh no, here's some pushback. I don't care what you say. So let's play a little bit more. Okay, very interesting.
Does that concern you?
Well, the facts are that this individual weaponized her car and threatened the life of the law enforcement officer and those around him. And that is what the media needs to cover. People understand is the truth when they have the chance to hear the facts around the case. And this individual was impeding law enforcement operations for quite some time before this incident happened. It's a tragedy that this situation has happened in this country, and we hope there's never another situation like this before. But this officer relied on his training to defend his life and to defend those around him, and we're grateful that we're in a situation where we hope that more people don't weaponize their vehicles like this. We're seeing it happen over and over again. We've seen over 100 different vehicles weaponized and attacking law enforcement officers. I would hope that Mayor Fry, when he's on here, that he'll announce that he's going to start working with us to bring safety to the streets. If he would set up a peaceful protest zone so that these individuals can exercise their First Amendment rights and do so peacefully, we would love that. Because then we could work together to make sure we're getting criminals to justice and letting people still express their First Amendment rights.
Well, you know that it is in dispute about weaponizing a car versus driving forward, but I'll put that aside.
No, it's really not. Everybody can watch the videos and see that.
Well, let me talk to you about the officer, Jonathan Ross. He was struck. He was hospitalized.
Don't say his name.
Let me ask you this, guys. And of course, she snaps when she says the guy's name, which is crazy. Because here's the thing. Everybody knows his name. This is Mother Loving Cheers now, where everybody knows your name, right? Everybody knows his name now. So why can't she say the man's name? But let me just
name. I mean, for heaven's sakes,
John.
No, it's really not. Everybody.
What do you think? Do you think that she weaponized the car or not? Right? What do you think? Did she weaponize the car like Kristi Noem is saying right here? Or was she just trying to get away? What are your thoughts? We're going to continue.
Can watch the videos and see that.
Well, let me talk to you about the officer, Jonathan Ross. He was struck. He was hospitalized.
Don't say his name. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we shouldn't have people continue to dox law enforcement when they have an 8,000% increase in death threats against them. I know, but that doesn't mean it should continue to be said. His life, he got attacked with a car that was trying to take his life, and then the people have attacked him and his family. And they are in jeopardy. And we have law enforcement officers every day who are getting death threats and getting attacked at their hotels.
Well, can you tell me about his status right now?
Thrown at them and
well, of course, no one condones violence against anyone. But here, CBS reported that he did have internal bleeding in the torso, but he was released that same day. So is he back at work? Did you give him the required 3 days of suspension?
We followed the exact same protocols that we always have for years as to investigations into these situations. But
interesting. Okay, first off, she's like, don't say his name. Don't you dare say his name, right? But it's what's done is done, right? Oh, Trump is in the house. Interesting. We're going to pause this because he just came into the house. Let's go and check this out, baby. Come on.
Anniversary.
There we go.
January 20th, and it's been
press conference
an amazing
is on.
Period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced. All page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished. But we've done more than any other administration has done by far. In terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars.
If you can't hear it, hit the refresh button.
Like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much we've done more than in the fray. And I say to my people all the time, and they're so busy doing other things, they don't say it like they should. They're apprehending murderers and drug dealers and a lot of bad people. And these are just some of the more recent ones that we have. And I can show you some of the people. Vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the things all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers. They're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers. They're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota, California. It's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out and they get them money and they go out and buy Mercedes Benzes and they come from here. They have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman. So here is another one. And I have, oh, by the way, we just took out, these are all what ICE is doing. And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad. I'm going through this because I think we have plenty of time. I'm going to beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be. I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for. In Switzerland, they don't know about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look, killed somebody. And these are rough people. These are not, this was all allowed into our country through open borders. These dumbest policies, you know, men and women's sports is dumb. But to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners, Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go. These are rough. This is all Minnesota, every one of them. This is one state out of many. And these people are, let's see, yeah, these are all so far people that came from outside of the country. They were allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He was the worst president we've ever had. And we've had some bad ones too. I can tell you, all you have to do is look at trade. You're not getting bored with this, right? I hope you don't. But these are people that you have to see. Strong arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and many other crimes. Gang member, known as one of the toughest people around. These are tough people. So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday. Look at it here. 24 convictions. 24 times convicted. They're not charges. These are convictions. So he comes from outside the country. Do you think he's going to be good here? He's convicted 24 times. He's going to be good here, right? It doesn't work that way. It's a man murder. It's one of many. One of many. All they want to do is get him out. They want to take him out of our country. And we're met with paid agitators and insurrectionists, troublemakers. They're paid. You know, when the woman was shot, I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it. So loud. Like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional.
Shame!
She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. She's shame, shame. She's screaming, shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly. But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this. All top of the line criminals. They're not going to be good. They're not going to be well behaved here. I could do thousands. We had over 3,000 in the last fairly short while. Just in Minnesota. What's the number, Carol? 10,000.
10,000 criminals arrested in Minnesota alone.
10,000.
10,000 criminals. And these are serious criminals. Now, how can a place with 10,000 criminals, how can you have a state? And yet they're fighting us. I like that guy. He keeps nodding to me. You agree with me, I guess. I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He keeps nodding. He says, you're right. He's obviously a little on the right side, maybe. Look. These are rough ones. So we just took this off a stack. We have many stacks like this. Like I could go 30 times what I'm showing you now. Relations with Hezbollah, that's nice. Why do we allow them in our country? I'm just looking at these charges. It's just pretty incredible. Many murders, many murders.
I think he's going to go through the whole stack. Is he going to go through the whole stack? Shame, 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 shame. Shame, 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 shame.
So what ICE does, and Border Patrol is incredible too. I mean, Paul Perez and that group is incredible. mostly Hispanic, by the way. They're like 60% Hispanic. You know, they talk about Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, right? And they're unbelievable people. And then they say, oh, we discriminate against. I love Hispanic. They are unbelievable, entrepreneurial. They have everything. I did great. I did the highest. Nobody ever got numbers like I got from the standpoint of being a Republican. But even if you look at Texas, I won the entire border along Texas, between Texas and Mexico. It never happened before. Nobody's ever done that before. I did it as a Republican. I did it. I love the Hispanic. And they accuse us of all sorts of things. 60% of the people we're talking about, they're the best people we have, and they're Hispanic. The Border Patrol is largely Hispanic. ICE is largely Hispanic. They're unbelievable people. I don't know how they can take the abuse. They're
crazy.
They're taking rough people like this, like all of them. We have.
I love
So we
Hispanics.
have 10,000 at least. I could have done 10,000 of them. You're lucky I only did like 100. And this isn't even the worst of the group. They have
Crazy.
murderers. They have some people we can't use their picture for legal reasons, but they're up for murder in their own country. And we jeopardize their case. When we send them back and we coordinate with other countries. A tremendous amount of work. All allowed in here by an open border policy of the worst president in the history of our country. A man that didn't win the election, by the way, it's a rigged election. Everybody knows that now. And by the way, numbers are coming out that show it even more plainly. We caught him. So I just want you to know that it's a terrible thing. Here's the book on accomplishments. And this is something, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. Boy, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off.
Stop.
That was a nasty. I think somebody did
Oh my God. I'm an ultimate badass.
It was my man. How were you? You didn't do it. I know you did. I know you did. So, but here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These
This
are
guy's
all,
hilarious.
each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world.
What's going on?
So,
What's going on?
I will read you a few.
Oh my God.
We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. But they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little bit lower. Created super high. What we've done with growth is incredible. We created super high economic growth, and America is booming. It's booming. There are thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built right in our country. They're not going to other countries. They're leaving other countries. Fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth, and that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country, and we had 5%. Nobody's in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20% if we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates. You shouldn't do it. In the old days, if you had good numbers, they'd lower interest rates, or they wouldn't do anything. Here, they try and kill it. They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history. And we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting, maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers, and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99 a gallon, $1.99, $2.30, $2.50. I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was at $4.50 and $5 for periods of time. And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly. And he really went back to parts of it because you would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't. But he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000. Think of that, $3,000. That's a year. In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000 and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of the 11 months, because this was done on 11 months. Now we are actually officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs. That means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. And they said, "Sir, you're making me look so good. My 401k is through the roof. My wife thinks I'm the greatest genius, and I'm a financial genius, like Warren Buffett." He told me that. He said, I think they have better returns than Warren Buffett right now. But he said, all my life, my wife has been criticizing me for not being smart financially. Now, all of a sudden, she loves me more. But we added $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, saving many people. I mean, they were going out of business. Think of it. We added $9 trillion of value to retirement accounts, savings accounts, and 401ks. That's during the course of 12 months. And I think it's probably 11 months because I don't think they have it for the 12. They have it for the 11. Added $9 trillion of value. Lifted more than 1.2 million Americans off food stamps in 1 year. They would have had another 1.2 million. We would have had, welfare would have gone up. And instead of investing $18 trillion in our country, now it's probably more than that, but 18 trillion and having thousands of plants being built all over the country, you would have had thousands of plants closing all over the country. And you would have had disinvestment, and you would have had welfare going way up. You know, if you look at SNAP, take a look at SNAP, what happened with that? It was at $7 billion, and it came out to over $51 billion. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. The past administration, they had no clue. Or they were really bad, but they basically had no clue. But they did have a concept. I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for them, too. They were fighting for them. But you saw that just the other day in the Supreme Court. Men playing in women's sports doesn't work. Secured a record-breaking $18 trillion in commitments for new investments. Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, TSMC, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly and Company, Micron, AstraZeneca, General Motors, Hyundai, Ford, Honda, GE Aerospace, many, many others. I left a Ford plant a week ago in Michigan that they were going to close 2 years ago, and now they just announced that they're going 24 hours around the clock making cars. Tariffs did it. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. I think to me it reads so plainly. Couldn't be plainer. You're allowed to do a license. Tariff is probably less severe than what a license could be. But think of it. You're allowed to do a license, and then they have a clause at the end, something to the effect, or what is necessary, something to that effect. And what is necessary with tariffs. I don't know where there's a case even there, but we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, and if we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting a lot of people. But we're waiting for that case anxiously, and we have tremendous national security because of tariffs and tremendous income. You know, we have, and by the way, no inflation. So everyone said, oh, tariffs will cause inflation. We have no inflation. We have very little inflation. Biden had inflation, and he didn't do tariffs. We had huge problem. We have a 62% reduction in our trade deficit. So if you had a 1% reduction, a normal president would have a 1%, 2% reduction. Everybody would be high-fiving. At a 62% reduction, next year we won't have a trade deficit. We secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much. And to me, I think this might be the biggest thing of all. We get zero talk about it. The New York Times had a story way in the back of the paper, a little story about it. I think it's the biggest thing there is. When you talk about healthcare, drug prices will go down more than ever before for any country, because we were priced at such a level that we were subsidizing the entire world, big place the world. We were paying 10, 12, 13 times more than other countries. 13 times more, not 13%, 13 times more. A pill that was selling in London for $10 would sell in New York for $130. It's 13 times. More than that even. But we secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much as 300, 400, 500, and even 600%, including with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Nova Nordisk, Gilead Sciences, EMD, Serenio, and many others. If you look at some of the prices that are coming down, where a price would come down $1,300 coming down to $87. Think of it. So something that was costing $1,300 is now costing $87. And the fake news doesn't want to write about it. That's why I do this. I don't like to do this, to be honest with you. But I do it because got to get the word out. We signed one big, beautiful bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill, delivering the largest tax cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We made interest on car loans tax deductible for U.S. built automobiles only. So if you buy an automobile built in the United States, we're not doing it for Germany and Canada and different places. We're doing it only if it's built here. We want them to be built here. A lot of the Canadian auto plants are closing and they're moving into the United States. Same thing with Mexico, same thing with Germany, and same thing with Japan and other countries. They're moving into the United States because of tariffs, because they don't want to pay the tariffs. It's too much. They can't pay the tariffs. So they're coming here. Nothing different than what other smart countries did, but it works better for us. Under my leadership, it's not done properly, but it's done properly. We have, again, more plants being built than at any time in the history of our country. Passed the largest spending cuts in American history, and that was true in my first. We had a tremendous first term also. We rebuilt our military. We had one of the best. We had the best economy in the history of our country, but we're blowing it away now. When this stuff starts opening up, you're not going to see anything like it probably ever again. We slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in a single year. Think of that, 27. You could do it 2%, 1%, 0.5%, 27%. And that's with all of the things we have to do, all of the people we have to put on the payroll to get rid of people that are murderers. Again, when you see people in Minnesota that are murderers, these people are fighting to keep them there. And I say to Christie and to Tom Homan, the great people, they're working so hard. Look at the border. The border is now secure. First time, Biden said you couldn't do it. You need legislation. I had no legislation. I said, close the border. Within 1 month, we had almost nobody coming in. Now for the last 8 months, nobody came into our country illegally. And I find that hard to believe, because you'd think somebody, because it used to be millions of people just poured into our country. And the people that do that are Democrat sort of aligned. So, I mean, they're not doing me any favors. We had nobody come in. We have a very strong border. We have very few people coming up. They're not going to make the trek because they know they probably won't be coming in. So it's not as hard as you think. But I didn't have to go back. Remember, they said, we need legislation to close the border. They had millions of people coming in a month. We have nobody coming in. and we're getting the murderers out. Murderers, people from prisons and jails. Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people we're getting out. And we have a lot of heart. And I said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up. Their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They couldn't get. They're empty now, but they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from, and every country accepts them. You know, under Biden, they wouldn't take. They had so little respect that they'd bring them there, and they wouldn't take them. They said, "Get the hell out of here." They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country, and they'd put 5 planes on the runway so you couldn't land the plane. So they'd come back with the people that they were bringing back. They don't do that with me. They do that with me. They have problems. They don't do it. They accept them back. They're not happy about it, but they accept them back. Cut a record number of regulations. I promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every one new regulation. Instead, we cut 129 old regulations for each one added. Think of that. I wanted to do 10. In my first 4 years, I did. When we put on a new regulation, you had to cut 8. This year, I said you have to cut 10. Instead, we cut 129. So every time, so far, can't remain like that, I don't imagine. I hope I can, because we have so much wasted regulation, stupid regulations. Regulations where they go by California, which is a disaster state, with a governor that truly is doing a bad job. He's killing that state. If he ever ran the country, this country would be Venezuela very quickly. Using tariffs slashed the U.S. trade deficit by an incredible 77%. The trade deficit is down, and that doesn't include the last month where we had our best month. We slashed the trade deficit by an incredible 77% in 1 year with no inflation, something that everyone said could not be done. So we had essentially no inflation. In fact, the last month we had almost no inflation. But we slashed the trade deficit by 77%. If you slash it by 1%, that was good. Again, we did that with tariffs and intelligence. We did that with November 5th, great election. We secured historic trade deals to reduce barriers on U.S. exports with countries covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Think of that. American exports are up by more than $150 billion this year. People said, oh, we're not exporting. All we do is buy. If you keep buying, you're not going to have a country for very long. So we increased exports by more than $150 billion. Investment in American factories is up 41%. That's a record. Nobody goes 41% up. You go 2% up, 1% up. You go down by 3%. If Kamala got elected, the 41% up would be 41% down. We removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payroll. That's another thing. So we have, we announce our unemployment numbers, call it unemployment or employment. And they were very good, but we could make them great. But we've slashed tremendous numbers of people off the federal payroll. Because ultimately, if you're on the federal payroll, I mean, we have jobs where they had 10 people for every job. So we cut. Now, if you want to see some good numbers, I'll hire 1 million people. We cut millions of people off the federal payroll. I don't like doing that, but the good news, I don't feel badly because they're getting private sector jobs and they're getting sometimes twice as much money, 3 times as much money. They're getting factory jobs. They're getting much better jobs and much higher pay. But all I have to do is say, like, what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people, and then they hire another million. They load it up, and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate. So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because, again, I don't want to cut people. But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job, I like to cut them. And sometimes they have to be forced to do that because, you know, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up, we have many cases, Caroline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money. They're ending up buying houses. It's like crazy. So they went from not liking me to liking me a lot because it's hard to get. We need people. We need people. It's one of the reasons. I mean, when you have good people in the farm or good people in hotels and everything else, we want to work with them as much as we can. Under Biden, 1 out of 4 jobs added was a government job. Think of that. So 25% of the jobs added. That's when you know that, that's 25% of jobs aren't real jobs. But again, I could do that. I could add 2 million jobs right now, would have an unemployed. I could say, just hire some more people. I do the opposite. I say, get rid of everybody that's unnecessary because that's the way you make America great again. When you have, you know, all these jobs where people are sitting around doing nothing and they get a lot of money by the government, it's no good. But that's what the Democrats do. They show, oh, we were at 4% unemployment. That's a good number. But they just add jobs, or they wouldn't cut. They would never cut jobs. Under Trump, 100% of all new jobs created have been in the private sector. Think of that. Now, 1% has gone to federal. So under Biden, 1 out of 4 was a government job. Under Trump, 100% of the new jobs created, 100% came from the private sector. That's how you make your country wealthy and strong and good. We inherited the worst border in history and turned it into the strongest border in history. Illegal crossings have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded, down 99.999%. That means down 100%. 99.99. Now, I want to find out who that one person is.
That's not 100%.
For 8 months
okay.
in a row, 0, and these are government numbers. These are not my numbers. For 8 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens were admitted to our country. 0. Nobody came in unless they came in legally. We have a big process for having people come in legally, by the way. A lot of people are coming in legally. They have to prove they love our country. They have to prove that they're not going to need welfare. A lot of things they have to prove. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration, where because we're getting all of these illegal people out. People that came in illegally, many cases, they're criminals in many, many cases. Remember when they used to say that the people that come into our country as immigrants are very nice people. They're wonderful people. They don't commit crime. No, they make our criminals look like babies. They make our Hell's Angels look like the sweetest people on earth. The Hell's Angels are now considered a nice, high-quality person. I like the Hell's Angels. They voted for me. They protected me, actually, believe it or not. But they make our criminals look like babies. These are some of the most vicious people anywhere in the world. They came from the Congo. The prisons, I know the Congo because I ended the war with the Congo and Rwanda. Tough group, very tough group. They came from prisons in the Congo. Some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever meet. Thank you very much. They allowed them to come into America. These are tough people. Before my election, 100% of net job creation was going
What is
to
going
foreign
on?
migrants. Since my inauguration, 100% of the net jobs created have gone to American-born citizens. That's a big thing. In other words, we're not taking care of our people. 100% of net jobs created have gone to the American-born people. Before that, we didn't care. Designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we've hit them hard. You've seen what we've done on the water, we're starting to do that on land. The land is much easier, actually. Water is incredible. We did that on the water so that when you
Oh,
do
my
it on the
gosh.
land, they don't go to the water. Nobody's going into the boat business right now, I can tell you. 97% down drugs coming in by water. Think of 97%. Nobody ever heard of that before. They heard 2%, 1%. It went up 2%. 97, and we're looking for the 3%. Who the hell are the 3%? They're crazy. But we've taken out almost 100% of the drugs coming in by water. Now we're going to be very shortly starting drugs coming in by land. We know exactly where they're coming from. Remove tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, savage criminals, and others. We removed them from our country. They're out. They're gone. In some cases, they're so dangerous that we put them in jail because we don't want to give them to their country. Their country doesn't do anything, and they end up coming back. We have some that they're so bad that we don't want to really release them. We want to put them in a jail where we know they're properly ensconced.
Norman, look that up. Let me know what you find.
Tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, and savage criminals. Why wouldn't you want them removed? The reason is because these are insurrectionists that are doing this work. And, they're going to make mistakes sometimes. ICE is going to be too rough with somebody, or, they're dealing with rough people. They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say, ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And, it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, oh, he loves you. He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans. It's so sad. It just happens.
Ay, caramba.
Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from Somalia, which is a terrible, terrible place, another dangerous place.
How long you been talking for?
And we also stopped the pirates because they get the same treatment as the drug boats. So in Somalia, the Somalians, what they're good at, that's about the only thing they're good at is they're good at pirating ships at sea, big ships. So you have a huge oil tanker with millions of gallons, millions of barrels of oil. And if it gets hit by a big weapon, the whole thing blows up. And they don't want to fight because if they do, they're told by their insurance companies, do not hand over the ship. And they're not allowed to have any guns on the ship. They're literally, you have these massive ships being taken over by a Somalian small boat with a big weapon.
Yeah, pirates of
Penzance. The side
Penzance.
of the ship can blow up to.
I am the pirate king.
We've seen some bad things happen, and the insurance companies. Some of these ships cost more than $1 billion to build, and the insurance companies say, "Look, we'd rather give them money than take a chance on $1 billion insurance policy." But they don't have to worry about it because we hit them the same way we hit the people with the drugs in their boat. They don't know what the hell happened. But all of a sudden, there are no pirates at sea. Do you notice? We haven't had a boat taken in a little while. Came out of Somalia, really corrupt place. It's not a country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. I always hate to see this. Ilhan Omar, she comes from Somalia, a backward country, probably the worst country. They say it's the worst country in the world, if it's a country. I don't even think it's a country. There's no organization. They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. They just have people running around, killing each other and trying to pirate ships. But she'll come here. Comes And then she wants to tell us how to run our country. The Constitution says that I am entitled to this. I can't stand her. Terminated all taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens and kicked 275,000 illegals off of Social Security. They were illegally getting Social Security. 275,000 people. I'm telling you, it's not that this is pleasurable, but if I were an elected president, this country was going to be destroyed quickly, very quickly. I think within a year, if you had Kamala or a Joe type. I mean, Joe was a disaster, but if you had Kamala, he was the replacement. I was up by like 25 points on Joe, and they said, "Hey, let's get somebody else." This never happened. I had so many firsts. You're leading somebody by a lot, and they say, "Oh, let's take him out. Let's put somebody." That's like I said to Dana White the other night. I said, "You know, Dana, it's like you have a fighter, two fighters. One guy is winning by a lot, and they say, 'Oh, let's take this guy out. Let's put a new fighter in the ring with him.'" That's what happened to me. I was doing great with Biden. The whole campaign was against Biden. All the money was spent against Biden. And all of a sudden I got Kamala. Everyone said, "Who the hell is she?" But that didn't work out too well for them. But never happened before. We are about lots of firsts. Designated English as the official language of the United States of America. We did that very powerfully. And while we're at it, we also took the Gulf of Mexico, and now it's the Gulf of America. We have 92% of the shoreline. It always bothered me. I'd say, you know, we have most of the shoreline. Mexico has a small percentage, talks about 8%. We have 92%. And I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed.
Well, we're off-roading now, guys.
I wanted to. My people work
We
so
are
hard.
off-roading.
Sir, I don't think it'll look too good.
Four-wheel
I'm telling
drive.
you, it's a good thing. And it'll be hotter than ever. I said, no, but I decided not to do that. I'm joking, you know, when I say that.
We
I
are
was not gonna go
off-roading,
with the Gulf
everybody.
of Trump.
Rough
So
terrain.
tomorrow it'll be Trump wanted to call it the Gulf of Trump, but he was rebuffed by his people.
Where are we going?
People don't rebuff me too much. The Gulf of Trump. That does have a good ring, though.
I
Maybe
am a
we
very
could do
model
that.
of a
It's not too
modern
late.
degenerate.
No, we have the Gulf of America now. It's great.
What's going on here?
Our country is proud for the attack on Venezuela, the attack on the Iran nuclear capability, wiped it out. I mean, first administration, Soleimani, the father of the roadside bomb, al-Baghdadi, the father of ISIS, who was rebuilding ISIS. We wiped them out. Done a great job. Signed an order that will end birthright citizenship for children of illegal migrants. You know, that case is in court right now. That case was meant for the children of slaves. All you have to do is look at the years. Look at the years where the cases were filed and where the decisions were made. They were right at the end of the Civil War. Trying to say that, you know, in China is making a big business out of that. They come to the country, they have a child, the American citizen, they get all the benefits. It had nothing to do with that. That was for the children of slaves. And I hope the Supreme Court so rules. Designated fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. It is. We lost, I believe, 300,000 people last year.
He believes.
300,000 people. That's like filling up one of those big football stadiums.
Sophie, I wish I could help you. I don't know where we are right now.
I mean, you could be in a war and you wouldn't lose that many people.
If he was on a trip,
So we
you know,
designated fentanyl a weapon of
he
mass
is literally flying into the center of the
numerous
sun.
successful military strikes against narco-terrorists operating in our hemisphere, including the water strikes. Drugs brought in by ocean. So I told you that we're down by, I mean, close to 100%. It's hard to get somebody to pilot those boats. Very hard. They have to be people that don't watch television, don't read the news. And we just blew up their facility. They had a docking facility where the drugs were stored. And now we have a great relationship with Venezuela. We're getting along fantastically with the leadership in Venezuela, so we wouldn't have to do that. This was
more oil
before the attack.
More oil,
we
everybody.
Captured and brought to justice the outlaw dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who through drugs killed millions of people in our country. Tremendous drug dealer. Also sent millions of people into our country, including Tren de Aragua, the worst gang. They say it's the worst gang in the world. They took over parts of Colorado. They just take the apartment building. They just took it away. Just took it away like we're here. They cut the hand off one man because he called the police. Who called the police? I did. You took my apartment from me. Boom, no hand. This is what they sent us.
That is
Restoring
crazy.
Law and order, new category. D.C. and Memphis, federal task forces deployed massive numbers of federal law enforcement officers and National Guard to restore safety. Crime down in D.C. is almost down to nothing. D.C. was a very, very dangerous place. And I think you probably know better than I do. I have a lot of people in the media thanked me for that, but some of them found it hard to thank me. But, D.C. is now, look how beautiful. D.C. is now, you can walk right from here to a restaurant, right through the center of town. You can be with your child, with your loved one, with your lover. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore, so you can act like a real lover.
Oh, he's talking about the gays.
But you can
He's
walk right
talking
through
about
the middle of the town, and DC
Oh
is
my
beautiful
God.
again too.
For
guys,
you
we took all the
lovers.
fences down, almost
I'm
all the rest are coming
freaking
down.
done.
We got the graffiti all off. National Guard's been amazing. We didn't tell them to do that. That's not their job description. But they were picking up garbage and everything. They were great. And I don't know. To me, a town, it looks better when you have military people. These are big, strong guys, are bad guys. Look at them and they say, we're not going to mess around. But what they don't know is that we took over 2,000 people permanently out of D.C. These were career criminals. But I feel much better.
He needs a
Seeing
podcast.
those people there. I went in a couple
Yeah.
of times and had dinner in D.C. I walked right down the middle of the street. I felt very safe. A year ago, I couldn't have done that. I would have been crazy to have done that. Secret Service wouldn't let me do it. They weren't thrilled anyway, I will tell you. It wasn't like they were thrilled, but we did it, and it was great. But D.C. is a great thing. And we have virtually no crime in D.C. anymore. And before we did this move, and we could do the same thing with Chicago. We brought Chicago down 25%, even though we just had a minimal crew there. We brought Wisconsin down. We brought Minnesota down, way down, even though everything's a fight, because they want to keep those people that are lying on the floor. They want to keep those people in Minnesota, but they really don't. I don't think the real people of Minnesota, very corrupt place, and the elections are totally corrupt. I feel I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won that state since Richard Nixon. It's a rigged state. And the Somalians vote as one group, even if they're not citizens, and they vote as one group. And, you get 600,000 votes against you. They all ought to get the hell out of here. They're bad for our country. Nationwide achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record. So this just came out. Nationwide, over the last 11 months, achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record, including the largest one-year drop in murders ever recorded.
Oh, my God.
Almost 2,000 lives were saved. That's despite the fact that we took in criminals
He's not
under
done.
the leadership of the Democrats and Joe Biden.
He's not done.
More motor vehicle theft is down by 100,000 vehicles nationwide. That's another nationwide. The motor vehicle theft was out of control, and now it's very much in control. It was down by more than 100,000 vehicles to a record low. Began the process of eliminating cashless bail policies across the nation. You got to get rid of your sanctuary cities, and I hope our people know that we're not going to pay sanctuary cities. We're not going to pay them anymore. They are sanctuary for criminals. They hold criminals. We're not going to pay. They can sue us, and maybe they'll win, but we're not giving money to sanctuary cities anymore as of the beginning of the month. We began the process of eliminating the cashless bail. Well, cashless bail is where it all started. It's a disaster. And then other places. I don't know if it started in New York. I remember it starting in New York. So somebody comes in, murders somebody, and they let them out, no bail, no nothing. Basically, cashless bail means you just get the hell out. And they go outside. We have one case where a guy murders somebody, gets released, and goes out and murders somebody. 2 people in one day. No, we got to get rid of cashless bail. They got to pay, got to have bail. There's a reason for bail. Long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets. You know, we used to have, when I was growing up,
Oh no.
we had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor,
Uh-huh.
did anybody know that? Creedmoor.
No.
It was a big,
Stop.
I said,
For real?
Mom,
And
why
what
are those
happened?
bars on the building? I used to play Little League Baseball there, a place called Cunningham Park.
Wow, you were an athlete? Word?
He was quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said,
Oh, that's
Son,
sweet.
you could be a professional baseball player.
Get
I
out.
said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building.
Mm.
I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big, tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight, but I'll never forget. I don't know if it's still there
Mm-hmm.
because they got rid of most of them. You know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live in the streets. They took the mental institutions down. They're expensive.
Yeah.
But it's say,
Those
why
damn
does that
Democrats.
building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You know, you're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you're looking at all this steel, vicious
Yeah.
steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum.
That's what it was. Oh, I thought it
Designated
was something else.
Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization and many
Yeah.
others. It is.
Mm.
America is respected again on the world stage. That's another topic. Obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capability, and Operation Midnight Hammer was one of the most successful anyone's ever seen. CNN fake news. I don't know where they are. CNN. Anybody from CNN here?
Any
Fake
takers?
news. Nobody wants to raise their hand anymore. They used to argue. Yeah. Now, if you're with CNN, you don't raise your hand. But they said, well, maybe it wasn't that successful, which I really was angry because these pilots took their life in their hands. 2:00 in the morning with no moon, dead dark, guns shooting at them. They went in with those beautiful B-2s, and every single bomb went down an air shaft
Mm.
and obliterated it. And CNN came out and said, well, maybe it wasn't, by a scam writer who wrote, you know, fake stories, a lot of fake stories on other topics, right?
Yeah.
Because when we did it, we said, that's a terrible thing. You know, the pilots came back and they said, we hit everything.
What was that word
We
again?
did a great job. Then on top of that, we launched from a submarine about 30 Tomahawks on top of everything else. The place was obliterated. CNN
There it is again.
well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Turned out it was worse than it was. You know who could tell you that? The Iranians would tell you that. Because if they do anything, they're going to have to start a brand new place. But they did an amazing job. It was like what we did with Venezuela. I mean, nobody's ever seen a military operation like that. Ended 8 unendable wars in 10 months. These were unendable wars.
Mm.
Cambodia and Thailand fighting for years.
Are we going to talk about the
Kosovo
Nobel
and
Peace
Serbia.
Prize?
The Congo and Rwanda, Pakistan and India, they were really going at it. 8 planes shot down. They were going to go nuclear, in my opinion. The prime minister of Pakistan was here, and he said President Trump saved 10 million people and maybe much more than that. They're both nuclear countries. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia were going to fight over a dam, and I got them to stop. I still got to work it out.
Damn, over a
Because
dam?
They put a dam up in Ethiopia that
Damn.
stops the flow from a little river called the Nile. I always think of the Nile being in Egypt, you know, beautiful Nile with the pyramids, but they put a dam up. You know who paid for the dam? The United States of America. It's the biggest dam, I think, in the world.
Damn.
They put a dam up. I said, how did you let that happen? Why would we have done that? We financed it. This country would, I don't know. Maybe it was a Republican president, but I don't think it was. I think it was a Democrat. But what a terrible thing.
So the U.S. gave
So
a
Egypt
damn.
basically is, they don't have enough water in the Nile. And they use that
Wow.
for a lot of things, including entertainment and travel and tourism and everything. I mean, I don't know. They got a big dam. I got to work that one out now, too.
Damn.
Armenia and Azerbaijan, President Putin told me, I cannot believe you settled that war. I've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. Armenia and Azerbaijan, they were fighting it for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting the heads of both countries in my office. Beautiful Oval Office, much more beautiful now than it ever was.
Oh, yeah.
And one side of the other. He said, I've been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years, and for 22 years, I've been killing his people. And the other gentleman, and both very good guys, said, I've been here for 7 years, and for 7 years, I've been killing his people. And they started over there, and within an hour, they were next to each other. And by the time we ended, they were hugging each other, and it's been a great peace.
You were holding the camera, weren't you?
Should have gotten the Nobel Prize
Sorry.
for each war, but I don't say that. I say millions
Sorry.
and millions of people. And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots. They'll say, we have nothing to do with it. It's a joke. They've lost such prestige. That's why I have such respect for Maria doing what she did. She said, I don't deserve the Nobel Prize. He does.
There it is.
When she got it, they said, wow, that's amazing. I thought President Trump would get it. President Trump deserves it. He ended up 8 wars. How nice, right?
But
Got all 20 living hostages returned to their families, and the remains.
Excuse me.
They all came out. We got the 20 living hostages. We got the 28 hostages. They have one left that we think we know where it is. Amazing. Looked like we weren't going to get anywhere near that. Now they've gotten almost. And more importantly, we got many more, hundreds. We got them all. If we didn't do it, you wouldn't have had. Most of those people would have been dead. I don't know if that's covered properly, but the 20 is great. They were the last ones. I always said the last 20 are going to be hard, but we got them. We got the last 20, and we got close to 28 of the bodies of the dead. And to those parents, that was just as important as getting their son back alive. They were almost even more intent on they knew their son was dead. They wanted to get the body. I got him back. We just created the Board of Peace, which I think is going to be amazing. I wish the United Nations could do more. I wish we didn't need a Board of Peace, but the United Nations, and with all the wars I settled, the United Nations
Everybody,
never helped me on one war.
I just want to let you know something.
I guess I'm not blaming them.
They
I didn't call them
still-
to help, but I got,
He
presidents
still
and prime
has
ministers
to
together, we
do
knocked heads, we got along,
questions.
and they like me. I like them.
I
Every
just want to
single
point
one of
that
them
out.
nominated me for.
We
the
might be
Nobel
here for a
Prize.
while.
Every one of the wars, among many other people, nominated me for a Nobel Prize. But Putin told me, I cannot believe you got this war settled. I've worked on it for 10 years because it's his territory. Rescued 83 American hostages and citizens
We still have
detained
questions after this.
from abroad without paying a lot of money. Paid no money. Apprehended terrorists responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing that claimed the lives of 13 U.S. service members in Afghanistan, the lowest point in the history of our country. That was a Biden disaster. I was getting out, but I was getting out with dignity and strength. We were the boss. Oh, we were the boss. They wouldn't do a thing against us. And this very stupid person got in and
Biden,
shame.
nothing happened with
He should have
us.
left
Biden, though, either.
from Bagram, which is the big
America's
military base,
America.
which has hundreds of acres around it. Should have left from Bagram. Terminated visas
saying.
of Hamas sympathizers and deported pro-jihad foreign nationals. Got NATO members to agree to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP from 2%, and they pay the 5%, and
Thank
they
you,
didn't
Sweet
pay
and
the 2%.
Sleuthie. I
And by the way,
appreciate
I
it.
did more for NATO than any other person alive or dead.
Is there any proof of
Nobody's
that, sir?
done for NATO.
Where's the
And I think
proof,
for the
sir?
most part, they'll tell you that. I think you could ask the Secretary General about that, but he said it. I've done more for NATO than anybody, and I see all this stuff, but NATO has to treat us fairly too.
I don't mean to interrupt, but does
Big
this
fear I have
remind
with
you
NATO is we spend
of you
tremendous
actually
amounts of
going
money with
and
NATO. And I know we'll come to their
visiting
rescue,
Grandpa
but I just really
at the
do
nursing
question
home,
whether or not they'll
and he's just
come
staring
to
out the
ours.
window, talking about his time in war
I'm
and
just
stuff like
asking.
that? You know what I'm
Just saying,
saying?
right? You remember during the debate? Just saying. Signed $1 trillion investment in U.S. military. And next year, we hopefully will go to 1.5 trillion. We're building battleships that are 100 times more powerful than the battleships of World War II, which are the big, beautiful, those big, beautiful things with the guns. I said, what about bringing them out of dry dock? They said, sir, what we're building will blow them away. Think of it. These ships are 100 times more powerful than the battleships that you see on Victory at Sea. Do you ever see Victory at Sea? What a great thing that is to watch. Renamed the Department of Defense into the Department of War, which everyone loves, by the way. Signed landmark critical minerals deals with Australia, Malaysia, Thailand, Ukraine, Japan, and many others. We're going to have so much.
See you later,
rare earth. It's
Webster.
actually not that rare. Getting it processed is rare, but there's a lot of rare earth. There's a lot of earth around, I can tell you. Withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization where we were paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So we were paying $500 million a year, and China was paying $37 million a year. I said, why aren't we paying the same as China? They said, well, nobody asked.
How long has this
I
been?
said, China's got 1.4 billion people. We have 350 million, probably, with all.
Is
the
anybody
illegals,
clocking this?
China probably.
How
knows
long has
more
this been
accurately.
when he
But
started?
we have much smaller in terms of the number of people. We have a much more powerful military, but we have much smaller. I rebuilt the military.
It
during
can't
my
be
first term.
55 minutes. You're lying.
Well, they gave away a lot to Afghanistan.
Yeah, it has to be more than an
Taliban,
hour.
which was just horrible seeing them every year. Seeing them do
Sheesh.
that military down some dirty street is a disgrace. But while Biden gave a lot of it away, it's a tiny fraction compared to what we did. I rebuilt the military, and now we're continuing to build it, and bigger and better. We need it, peace through strength. But we withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. So I remember we were paying 500 million. They were paying 37 or 39 million. And I said, how come? So I withdrew, and they called, we'll give you the same deal that they had. I said, well, it should be less than that, because if they're at 37 and you have 3 times, 4 times the number of people, even maybe 5 times, I don't know. So it should be less, but I didn't want to chisel around. And I thought about it. So I could have taken 500 million to 37, and everybody knew it. I chose not to do it because it was actually very popular when I got out, because they were terrible. And so I chose not to take that deal. First thing Biden did is go back into it. You know what he paid? More than 500 million.
Get out.
So I actually called them. I said, you can buy it for less. You can make a deal at 37. There's no reason to pay 500. They didn't care. They paid more than 500. Did you know that? They paid more than 500 million. I made a deal at 37. I could have had 37. They were public about it. We'll give you the same deal that China has for 37. And they paid 500. They paid $500 million.
Wow.
That's the way you ruin a country. And it's the same attitude that, you have on everything else with these people. They were terrible. The anti-American UN Human Rights Council, we ended. The UN Relief and Works Agency, we ended. And the fake Paris Climate Accord, which was a ripoff of America, where we had to pay $1 trillion and they were paying nothing. China didn't kick in until 2035.
This is
We
probably
kicked in immediately. We were supposed to pay $1 trillion.
This is probably his
Russia
worst one.
went to a standard
ever.
of 1991, which was a dirtier standard. But we had to pay top dollar. So I terminated that. Another Rick. We ended the woke lunacy and restored common sense, abolished all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI policies throughout the federal government and the private sector. They're gone, everybody. They're gone. Terrible. Terminated the Green New Scam and ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. I love electric vehicles. That caused me a little problem with a man named Elon. But he understands, and he's a good guy. We get along. But I said, Elon, we can't have all electric cars. We just can't do it. I like the electric cars. I like his car. But in particular, I like his car. But we can't do that because some people don't want an electric car by 2030. And to build the power stations all over the country would have cost $4 trillion. $4 trillion. That's more than any country has. If you got China, the United States, and everyone, you couldn't do it. And it would have taken years. And yet they were supposed to be switching over electric vehicle mandate. Some people don't like electric cars. Some people want hybrids. Some people want regular gasoline powered cars. We have more gasoline than anybody. And now with Venezuela, we have 62% of the market when you include Venezuela. So I ended the Green New Scam and I ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. Now you can buy a gasoline powered car, a hybrid, and you can buy a electric vehicle. I mean, if you think, if you want electric, you can buy it. Make a good deal on them right now because they made a lot of them. Permanently stopped Joe Biden's ridiculous CAFE standards. That's having to do with the environment. So ridiculous. Cancel the EPA's absurd, totally absurd tailpipe emission standard, which made you spend hundreds of thousands. It made for hundreds of thousands of cars. The cost numbers were incredible that the consumer has to pay. Imposed 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles and 100% tariff on Chinese cars, which don't come into the country because of tariffs. Only because of tariffs. We didn't have tariffs, you wouldn't have any car. We have now more car factories being built in the United States than ever before because of tariffs. If they take those tariffs away, China will eat our lunch. They'll take all of our car business. Now, there's another way of doing it, but it's more cumbersome, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to scare you, but it's much more cumbersome, not as good for national security as this. We have a perfect system right now. We're making a fortune. We've never been stronger, and I hope the Supreme Court does the right thing for our country, because if they don't, it's such a problem. It's just so, it would be so sad. We're doing so well because of tariffs. And the people that are heading up the lawsuit, like there's a guy named Leonard Leo, who's a bad guy, and people that are very China-oriented and foreign car-oriented and foreign business-oriented, but in particular China, they're suing to get rid of tariffs because they don't want tariffs, like Coke. Coke has businesses outside of the United States. If you have them outside, you don't want tariffs. But because of tariffs, they treat us well. Without tariffs, they would treat us very badly. As you saw for many years, they respect us more now than they ever have respected us by a lot. And revoked the California emissions waiver to stop San Francisco communists from regulating the automobile industry and destroying automobiles and the industry in the nation. I was with Bill Ford of Ford Motors. I was with all the people at General Motors the other day, and they are making more money and building more cars than they are doing so good, all because of tariffs and what I've done. And they're building their plants all in the United States. Reopened Anwar for drilling. That's a big deal. Launched a massive Alaskan pipeline project to export natural gas to Asia. We made a deal with South Korea and with Japan that gives us money, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. Signed executive orders to end Biden's war on coal and I say clean, beautiful coal. I never say the word coal. It has to be preceded by the words clean, beautiful coal. And put miners back to work. The miners love Trump. I think I got 100% of their vote. We banned transgenders from the military. We don't want transgender in the military. Ordered reinstatement of patriots expelled from our military with full back pay. So we had some people that were terminated and they're coming back into our military. Fired the woke boards of visitors at our military service academies. The boards of visitors were run by radical left, maybe communists, maybe not, but they were still heavily radical left and they were bad for us. signed an executive order to remove anti-American propaganda from federal museums and national parks, required the federal employees to return to work in person or be fired. We don't want them sitting in their home or in their bed working. We want them in an office that we're paying for in Washington, D.C., or wherever it may be. And we've largely taken care of that mess. That was crazy. I guarantee you they're out on the ball fields. I guarantee you they're out playing golf. And you can't run a country or a company that way. I think it's happening even so with countries and companies. But we had so many of our federal workers that wouldn't come into work. Signed an order banning all government censorship and restoring free speech. Made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders. This was not a tough one. Two genders. Can anybody guess what they are? Male and female. I think the Democrats know that too, but they refuse to admit it. Ban the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of children. Can you imagine saying this 15 years ago? That we banned the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of our children. You know, when I say it, I say, do I have to say that? I actually asked my people today, yes, sir, because people, it's where the country went. Banned men from playing in women's sports. Big Supreme Court case in that. I mean, I can't believe it. Some of the justices were fighting hard for men to be able to play in women's sports. A couple of them. I can't imagine it, but I think anybody that rules that way should lose a lot of credibility. But we banned men from playing in women's sports. All you have to do is look at the records, look at weightlifting records, look at swimming records, look at track and field. It's not fair. It's very demeaning to women. Banned transgender ideology and critical race theory from our schools. Secured unprecedented settlements with Brown University, Columbia University, and many other colleges, including the University of Pennsylvania, where I went, the great old Wharton School of Finance. To restore fairness and merit, we're working with Harvard right now. They've been very anti-Semitic. Terrible what they've done. And we'll see what happens. I hear we have a deal, but who the hell knows with them? They have a lawyer that wants to show how hot he is. Ended taxpayer-funded student loan forgiveness for radical left and anti-American activists. Can you believe it? Began the process of abolishing the Federal Department of Education and returning education back to the states. And Linda McMahon is doing a fantastic job. Ended Joe Biden's weaponization of our government and removed his handpicked radical left Marxist prosecutors from the Department of Justice, like deranged Jack Smith. He's a sick son of a bitch. They gave me the worst of the worst. And here I am. How did that happen? How did that happen? He's a sick guy. And Letitia James is sick. And Alvin Bragg is sick. They're sick people. And others. Fani. You can't call Fanny. She doesn't like it. She wants to be called Fani. Fani Willis. I won. Can you imagine putting somebody through that? And then if I suggest that somebody may be guilty of a terrible crime, oh, he's weaponizing government. Trump is weaponizing government. It's terrible. Can you imagine? They say to me about weaponize. I don't weaponize anything. But what they did to me, nobody ever went through what I went through. And here I am in a place called the White House. It's a beautiful place. Who would have thought, right? Signed legislation to cut all taxpayer funding to woke and biased NPR and PBS. And they're sort of gone now, I guess. I heard they closed up. They were terrible. They were so unfair. They were so terrible. Officially reinstated Columbus Day. I like the name Columbus Day. The Italian people are very happy about it. Remember, when you go to the voting booths, I reinstated Columbus Day. That was an easy one. Christopher Columbus. Cut Social Security wait times by 50%, serve 65% more Social Security recipients by phone and are on track to doubling the service and performance compared to the Biden administration. We're 2.5 to 3 times better and faster. Slash VA claims backlog to the lowest number ever recorded. Created Trump accounts starting with $1,000 for every newborn baby. This is something that's become so popular. And I give Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell Computer, who put in $6.25 billion, started with nothing. And he actually invested all that money to give to kids so that when they grow up, they have an account that might be worth a lot of money. It'll be riding with the markets. And, you know, they can, at 20 years old, 21 years old, they could have $100,000. They could have a lot of money. That's going to be amazing. But I give a lot of credit to Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell. Signed an AI executive order to ensure the United States dominates the future of artificial intelligence. So we're leading China. We're leading the whole world. We're producing more electricity than we ever have because I'm allowing every one of those plants to build their own electric facility. We're giving them very, very fast approvals, unlike Los Angeles with the fire. So the federal government, I want to give a lot of credit to Lee Zeldin. The hardest approval for the 20,000 houses or more that burned down in Los Angeles because they didn't have the water. They didn't allow the water to come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed the water into the Pacific Ocean. So we had no water there. No, he had. I would say, open up the water, open it up to the governor, to the mayor. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to protect a tiny little fish that's, you know, I said, how can you have a fish when you don't have any water? It was just an excuse, I guess, but it's amazing. We took 20,000 houses, and Lee Zeldin, the toughest permit is from the federal government. Within 2 weeks, every single permit was given to the people to build their houses. Then you have the incompetent mayor of Los Angeles. He's neutral, who decided to go to Africa during the fire. So you have this incompetent mayor, and I had it out with her the night when I got right after the fire. I went there. She said, we're working on it so that we can have everybody starting to build within 2 or 3 years. Remember that? I said, you mean 2 or 3 days? No, I mean 2 or 3 years. And the place went crazy. Well, they still haven't gotten their permits. But every federal permit, every single one has been given a year ago. And Lee Zeldin has done a great job. And he's done a great job in the approval of all these big plants and factories and all of the electricity that they're creating for themselves. I said to Zuckerberg, I said to all of them, I said to Jeff Bezos, I said to everybody. Mark Zuckerberg couldn't believe it. He said, you know, where are we going to get all the electricity? Because you need double the electricity that the country currently makes just to fire up those big plants. I said, well, nobody can do that. So what we're going to do is let you make your own electricity. Nobody believed it. And I said, we're going to get you fast permits. So we get them within 2 weeks. And they're coming up with some of the most incredible electric plants you've ever seen. So each one of those massive buildings, AI or otherwise, is building their own electricity. They're building their own plant. And it's incredible. Many of them are under construction already. You're going to have, we're leading AI and we're leading China by a lot. Established a MAHA presidential commission, banned many artificial food dyes, as you know, issued new vaccine recommendations and created new real food pyramid. And Bobby and Dr. Oz have been incredible. Provided $12 billion in aid for American farmers. Just gave them $12 billion in aid because they got screwed by other nations. And the number of drug dealers have fallen every single month since I took office. Drug dealers are way down in the United States. And that's a small version of what's sitting right there. That's just a small version. We took a country that was dead, and it's the hottest country in the world right now.
Okay.
After 1 year. So let's go. That's a lot of people. Please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. One,
Do you want your Board of Peace to replace the UN?
Well, it might. I mean, the UN just hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it has never lived up to its potential.
Yeah.
The UN should have settled every one of the wars that I settled. I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them. They should be able to settle those wars. They don't. I believe you got to let the UN continue because the potential is so great.
And another one, you invited Lula from Brazil to be part of the Board of Peace.
I did.
What role do you
I did.
expect him to play,
A
especially
big role. I like him.
Venezuela?
Yeah.
And
I like-
another one, because
Are you from Brazil?
Yes. The EU and Mercosur just signed a trade agreement this weekend, which is going to be the biggest trade zone, free zone in the world.
Right.
At the moment, you are talking a lot about tariffs. What is your reaction to that? So, two questions. Lula,
Well,
and then-
look, I just think this. I think we have trade like we've never had before. We're doing better on trade than we ever have before. We're not being ripped off by every country in the world like we were before. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever thought possible. We're the richest we ever were. It's because of tariffs and the proper use of tariffs. And we're also the most secure. As an example, Iceland, without tariffs, they wouldn't even be talking to us about it. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to work out quite well. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your relationship with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer right now? And have you spoken to them since your Truth Social post?
No, I haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I think they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when they're, when I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat me very nicely. And I like both of them. They're both liberal. They've got to straighten out their countries. You can't, London is having a lot of problems. And if you look at Paris, got a lot of problems. They have two problems, immigration and energy. They got to stop with the windmills and they got to go back like UK has an unbelievable asset called the North Sea. Norway uses it, makes a fortune. They have a better section of it and they don't do it. They could straighten out their countries and it would be good. But I get along very well with them.
You told Norway's prime minister.
Are you from Norway?
Yeah.
You look like you would be from Norway. She looks like she's from Norway. Go ahead.
You told Norway's prime minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very
affect
strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. I've had every one of those wars, every participant wrote, I didn't ask him to do it. They sent in strong they make recommendations for that. But I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know. Think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. I'm trying to settle the final one. I'm trying to do Russia, Ukraine. And when Russia's ready, Ukraine's not. When Ukraine's ready, Russia's not. But they're losing 25,000 people a month on average. And I'm trying to get that one done. But no, I feel that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Mr. President, Kevin Hassett has said that those $2,000 tariff rebate checks would be up to Congress to decide whether or not to disperse that. Do you agree with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of, income limit where it made sense. But we will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Last night on Truth Social, you said that the British plan to hand the base of Diego Garcia over to Mauritius and then rent it back was an act of great stupidity. Previously, you backed that deal. Is it now your position that the deal should not go ahead?
I think that they, when they originally were going to do it, they were talking about doing some concept of ownership. But now they're looking to essentially just do a lease and sell it. And I'm against that. You know, it's a reasonably nothing like Greenland, but it's a reasonably important area of the globe. Not to anywhere near Greenland, but I think they should keep it. I don't know why they're doing it. Do they need money?
Mr. President, with your support to the Syrian government, most probably you avoided another civil war and a bloodshed in Syria, especially after the fall
I
of the
did a
regime.
good job. I did a good job.
The Syrian government, the last 2 weeks, had to use some force to implement its force on specific areas. And
Well,
with
to keep the prisoners, the terrorist prisoners, which are some of the worst in the world, at bay. So they were able to keep that. He's working very hard. The president of Syria is working very, very hard. Strong guy, tough guy, pretty rough resume. But you're not going to put a choir boy in there and, you know, get the job done. I spoke with him yesterday because we were talking about the prisons and, you know, what was going on. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in those prisons, and he's watching them.
Syria.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
President, Gavin Newsom is going to be at Davos if he's not already there. You're probably going to run into him. I presume that this is for him to raise his platform for 2028, but what do you anticipate his foreign policy platform is going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be the nominee. I know this. I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were, you know, in office together. I was president. He was the governor of California. We had a really, he would talk about it often. And somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run. He and I had a very good relationship, really close to the word exceptional, but now we seem not to.
Thank you, President Trump. President Trump, you spoke earlier.
Mr. President, you've been hearing from allies.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Carol Castanova.
She was screaming.
And you spoke earlier about the 2020 election. Now that
Damn.
Maduro is in U.S. custody and he was criminally charged, has any more information emerged that you could share with us regarding Venezuelan election software and Venezuelan ties to tampering with the 2020 election? And would you consider speaking to Maduro personally in prison in New York to get some answers on Venezuela's involvement with the 2020 election?
No, I don't think I would be doing that. I think my lawyers would be very unhappy if I did that. Yeah, they've learned some things. Please.
What happens to the tariff threat to Greenland if the Supreme Court comes out and rules against you on the tariffs? And
Well, I'll have to use something else. I mean,
are
look,
you going to use force?
you know, take a look at the word license, take a look at other things. I mean, we have other alternatives. But what we're doing now is the best, the strongest, the fastest, the easiest, the least complicated.
Interesting.
With the Greenland-related tariffs on Europe, you secured almost $1 trillion of commitments from them to invest in the United States. Does that go put out the window if that happens?
I doubt it. Look, they need that agreement very badly with us. They really do. They fought very hard to get it. So I doubt that, but we'll see what happens. We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. I'm leaving tonight, as you know, Davos, and we have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. And I think things are going to work out pretty well, actually.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that. Because, you know, Emmanuel's not going to be there very long. And, you know, there's no longevity there. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. I like Macron, but he's not going to be there very much longer, as you know. And I think, you know, I have meetings with the people that are directly involved, not some of the people you're talking about.
Wow, it's insane in there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy
You know, I've
New Year.
never seen this room like this. Is this a celebration of the first year? Have you ever seen it? I've never seen this many. I hope we have a very good structural floor. You know, this used to be a swimming pool. You're sitting over a swimming pool. I could see that happen.
He's like, please cave in.
We need a good structure here, don't we, huh? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Thank you.
And my question is Syria. The Kurds, as the most loyal U.S. partners, facing attacks by some Syrian elements within the Syrian government.
will you do to ensure that Kurdish rights protected and their effective forces against terrorism in Rojava, Syria continue as the Kurdish see you as a president does not abandon his allies?
Well, I like the Kurds, but just so you understand, the Kurds were paid tremendous amounts of money, were given oil and other things. So they were doing it for themselves more so than they were doing it for us. But we got along with the Kurds, and we are trying to protect the Kurds. That's correct.
Ahead of your speech in Davos, can you give us a preview of what we can expect as far as laying out the plans for Americans to be able to buy homes?
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months. And, I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be, because, a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did. They need energy. You take a look at their energy policy, they're going to destroy themselves with what they're doing with the windmills and all the nonsense. They need energy help badly, or they're going to be in big trouble, and they need immigration help badly. How much longer do you want to go?
Well, call it.
I do. I have a very important call with President Erdogan, who I like a lot. All right, one or two more questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. During
Go
your
ahead,
second,
please. Go ahead.
One
Thank you,
question
Mr.
about
President.
Red.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The red blouse. Go ahead.
You talked a lot at the beginning of this about the economy, some positive economic indicators. Polling shows the majority of Americans don't feel the economy is doing well. Are you worried you're making the same mistake as President Biden?
No, I hope I don't make the same mistake as him. Look, I inherited a terrible, it's a great question because we inherited a terrible, terrible mess between the border, between all the problems. The whole country was falling apart. And in 12 months, less than 12 months, in 12 months, we have the strongest border we've ever had. We have prices that are much, much lower than they were for the last. We inherited very high prices. We inherited, remember this, inflation was at a historic high. We had never had inflation like that. They say 48 years, but whether it's 48 years or ever, we had the highest inflation, in my opinion, that we've ever had. Prices, because of that, were very high. I inherited, we brought down eggs immediately. Remember the first news conference, they were screaming at me about eggs. I was in the position for 2 days, and we brought eggs down to lower than what they were before. And by the way, they continue that way. We brought the prices down from when I came into office and from what Biden had, way down. We're going to bring them down further. But the job we did is a miracle. One of the reasons I'm doing this today is to explain. We inherited a mess, and we've made it a beautiful, beautiful picture. Think of gasoline at $1.99 in many states. $1.99 a gallon.
No, that's not true.
$4.50, $5.
Not entirely true.
Some cases $6 or $7. We're at $1.99.
Still up there in other
And
places.
Energy is so big that with energy, everything else comes down. But the prices are coming way down, and we're going to bring them down further. But we started up here with these guys. We inherited a country that was broken. We inherited a country, and I have a very warm spot. We've done very well with Venezuela. And by the way, that even in itself is going to help us bring down the oil prices. The Venezuelan oil, we've taken 50 million gallons of oil. We've taken 50 million barrels of oil out of Venezuela in the first 4 days. We've got millions of barrels of oil left. We're selling it on the open market. We're bringing down oil prices incredibly. And when they come down, and they've already come down, again, $1.99 a gallon for oil. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. All right, one or two more.
Is it $1.99 anywhere in your hood? If it is, type it in the chat.
Go. Yes.
I want to ask you about Iran. Is the military option still on the table? And can you assure us that the killing in Iran has stopped? And when regard to the Peace Council, which members have to pay $1 billion?
So with Iran, are you from Iran?
No, I cover the White House.
Where are you from?
I'm Palestinian American.
So with Iran, they were going to hang 837 people. And I let them be known that, and we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang
Bumblebee, where you
I
at?
can't tell you what's going to happen.
199
But supposedly they've
in your
taken it
area?
off the table. But they were going to, last week, they were going to hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang.
South
hang, I think,
Louisiana, Pennsylvania, $2.
837 people, and they didn't hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens with Iran. Is the military option off the table? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President
Go
Trump.
ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations on your
President.
first
Go,
year.
go ahead. I'll take your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead, right
President.
here.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised during your second inaugural to always put America first. I'm curious, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
No
It
kidding.
wouldn't, improve the lives of any. What improved the lives of people are people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers, just if you look at any one of those wars, you're talking about millions of people. You multiply it times 8. But when you look at India and Pakistan, that could have been 10, 15, 20 million people. Could have been more than that. So I saved millions of people. So that to me is the big thing. What?
You suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of, bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I
will
think a
stay
lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit.
No.
And I'm not blaming anybody. I think
We're
I blame
walking into
ourselves. I
stores
think
and
we've
seeing
done
for
a much
ourselves.
better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
Mr. President of Venezuela, you made a condition.
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
Nice
you made,
place.
Thank you. You made a condition that the political prisoners should be freed. It seems that they are not being as fast as they promised in the beginning. Would that be an issue for the current government?
They've agreed that they're going to let, I guess, most of them out. Or depends on what they did, but they have released a lot of. Released a lot of political prisoners in Venezuela.
Mr. President, earlier on last year, you had indicated that you wanted to take back the Panama Canal. I know we've heard a lot about Greenland. Is that still on the table?
I don't want to tell you that. Sort of. I must say, sort of. That's sort of. Okay, one more. Yes, blonde, blue. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead with the blue, holding the computer.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of
NATO?
It's very interesting. So I think something's
Good
going to
question.
happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2%, they weren't paying. At 5%, they are paying. And they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine. That's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. but we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
Thank you very much. First of all, last year you told me that you believe that the reason you won the election is because God put you in this place so that you could save the world. Looking back 1 year, do you feel like God is proud of the effort that you've put
I
in?
do, actually. I think God is very proud of the job I've done. And that includes for religion. You know, we're protecting a lot of people that are being killed. Christians, Jewish people, and lots of people are being protected by me that wouldn't be protected by another type of president. No, I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years. Even some people that wouldn't necessarily love me instinctively, they're saying this was an incredible year. We've had an incredible year economically. Look at our border. Our border was a disaster. People poured. It was an invasion into our country of a lot of very bad people, good people too, but a lot of very bad people from prisons and drug dealers and gangs and horrible people, murderers, thousands and thousands of murderers allowed into our country. And we now have the strongest border of any country. There's probably not a country, I guess North Korea has a pretty strong border, by the way, but there's not a country in the world that has a border like we do. And we took it from the worst border. We had the worst border in the world. Now we have one of the strongest borders in the world. One more question.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what
I
gives
haven't.
the
I
U.S.
haven't.
the right to
I
take away
haven't
that
spoken.
self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Mr. President, are you committed to keeping the U.S. in NATO?
I've had such a good relationship. I've made it so much better, so much stronger. It's so good now. NATO is so much stronger now. I don't agree with a lot of the things they've done, but that was done before I got there. I think NATO's been good. Sometimes it's overrated, sometimes it's not. But we have a strong NATO. When I came here, we had a weak NATO. We had a NATO at 2%, and they weren't paying. You had a nothing NATO. NATO's, whether you like it or not, it's only as good as we are. If NATO doesn't have us, NATO is not very strong. Yes, no, behind you, please.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yes, go ahead.
Really appreciate it, sir. We heard a long list of accomplishments from the last year. Could you cherry pick the top three? And then looking forward, what are your three most important priorities in 2026?
So I think the building of a really powerful military has been a great achievement, and that would include the Venezuela thing. That would include the attack on Iran and the wiping out of the nuclear threat. I think that's been really amazing what we've done militarily. I think what we've done in business has been incredible. We have $18 trillion coming in. Plants are being built all over. Thousands of plants are being built all over the country. 18 trillion is a record. No country has ever come anywhere even close to that. I think that's a record. And I think that most favored nations for drugs is something that nobody thought they'd be able to get. Tariffs helped me there because the nations would have never gone along with it if I wasn't able to say, if you don't go along with it, we're going to put a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on your nation. And they went along. And our drug prices are going to come down at numbers never even seen before, never even thought possible before. So those would be three things. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much. He's done. And he's done. Oh, my. Oh, my. That, let's see. He walked in around 45 hour and 45 minutes long. It looks like. That was an hour and 45 minutes long. Have mercy. There's okay, so there's a lot to think on. I'm just gonna play this here because he talks for a while. Here's the thing. My thoughts on my thoughts on everything. There's a lot to say. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of things with this because he said so many different things that he just kind of rambled for about an hour, more than an hour. He rambled for more than an hour. Then he also said that there were professional shamers. So you know what I mean? It's like he started with all the Minnesota stuff, with the people that have been detained, et cetera. And then he just went off on he just went off the rails for about an hour, for more than an hour. He just went all over the place. And I feel like everybody was sitting there just listening, but just kind of droning out as well. Because I mean, he's just going, right? And how much can you really listen to that? He just was basically talking to himself in a way. That's why I said in the very beginning, I was like, he needs to have his own podcast. Because he could talk to a wall with no issues whatsoever. And I don't mean to be rude. That's just a fact. See, this is what I like when he's reading from a teleprompter, right? This is when I really appreciate when he's reading from a teleprompter. Because there are times when he'll fly off the rails, but he gets right back on that teleprompter. And he says what he needs to say, and he gets off. He leaves, not gets off, That sounded gooey. But then that sounded weird too. But you get what I'm saying, okay? That sounds weird, all right? But nonetheless, it's like he'll veer off, but go right back to the script. As he's just reading bullet points, which is clearly what he was reading on a piece of paper, he can just sit there and he's just commenting on every single thing. We even learned a little bit about his childhood, okay? He went all the way back. He said, have you seen my childhood? Like, really? Okay, MJ. Look at these amazing buildings looming over the baseball field. I was like, that's a new word for him. Ooh, looming. He said it a couple times. But, he's like, we don't have those buildings anymore. The ones with the bars on the windows. Now all the crazies are just out in the streets now. We don't have those kind of buildings anymore, right? But he just went off the rails, guys. He was just constantly going off on tangents. It was just absolutely insane to the point where it's like he's saying the same talking points he's been saying since day one. Except now it's, I should get the Nobel Peace Prize. She just gave it to me. It should be mine. I stopped 8 wars. Talking about the Congo and all that. I'm sorry. Okay. Then he talked about pirates. I mean, Somali pirates. But, he's like, well, no more of that is happening. We don't have Somalis and pirates going and stealing boats and stuff. Oh, man. Well, there's that. Okay, guys. Let me just say this. The whole purpose of this press conference, I don't even know what it was. In fact, let me ask you this. What year is it? What year is it? Because I feel like we've been in there for like a year. At least. How long have I been out for? What year is it? What day is it, sir? Have mercy. Bumblebee just said 2026. Thank you for letting me know. I got a little lost there, Man. Ain't that some crazy? Shut your mouth. That actually happened, everybody. So there it is, okay? So there's that. That happened. That actually really mother loving happened. And I know somebody just said, bring on the midterms. That's if we have a midterms. I mean, I feel like we will, but the fear mongering has commenced. It is at an all-time high right now. For sure. But this is absolutely crazy. Just sitting there listening to him, I don't know. I was just waiting for him to go off on another tangent about God knows what. But that was a press conference. That was allegedly a press conference. Yeah. So I'm going to get some of these super chats because I don't know about you, but I am tired. That took all my energy. Oh, my Lord. So I'm going to get straight to these super chats. Happy days. Thank you so much for the love. If a cop drove their car and hit the civilian that's not using their car as a weapon, yes, it is. I see your point there. But I also think that people who are looking at the situation, regardless if it's a cop or if it's a civilian in the car, I think those who are like thinking for themselves and just seeing the situation, if it was the same situation, I'd still say the same thing. I'd be like, yeah, that cop was trying to move. That cop was trying to drive away. It wouldn't change just because it's Renee Good behind the wheel or if it's a cop behind the wheel. If it was the same situation and a civilian was on the outside holding a weapon and that car was just trying to move, in my personal opinion, trying to just get away, I'm still going to say that, just personally. And I probably would get ridiculed for that because we live in a world where, there's a bias instantly because it's a cop behind the wheel rather than it being a civilian and vice versa. You know what I mean? So, sorry, but I see your point. And I get it. And the narrative would change. And maybe it would be different people out in the streets if it was, a cop behind the wheel. You see what I'm saying? So we'll see. Or I don't think, I hope we never see something like that, right? But moving on. Lavender, thank you so much for the love. I can't watch this anymore without your expression. Priceless, LOL. That's what I'm here for, to give you guys the information and the entertainment, right? Glad I can make you laugh. Michelle, thank you so much for the love. Of course he says he doesn't like to do this. He hates the process, but the smile at the end game. Wait, of course he doesn't like. He says he doesn't like to do this. I think you're talking about the press conference. I'm assuming, Michelle. Yeah. I mean, okay. If it is about Trump, he loves these press conferences. Why do you think he goes up there and talks for an hour and 20 minutes and then does another 20, 30 minutes of questions? He kept saying like, okay, do one more and I'm done. He'll answer the question, one more and I'm done. He goes to another person, one more and I'm done. You know what I mean? Like he loves that ish. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Moving on. Allie, thank you so much for the love. His kids are anchor babies. His kids are anchor babies. I'm confused here. His kid are anchor babies. Explain. If you're still here, I don't understand that one. I'm sorry. Like Trump's kids are anchor babies? Keeping him planted on the ground so he doesn't lift off? Spiral out of control? Right? Hold on. Yeah, apparently there's another press conference happening right now as we speak with Bovino, Pam Bondi, and the sort. I may play a little bit of that in just a second because Greg Bovino, Mr. Cosplay himself, the head of ICE, Border Patrol, okay, the BPD is speaking. I just paused it. Let me just get these super chats. I'm probably going to play a tiny bit of that, okay? But Star Fury, thank you so much for the love. I dare, I think you're saying, I dare anyone to go up there and grab the mic. No, we good. You just let him talk. Let him talk his talk. Beautiful disaster, Pascal. Without you and your reactions, I'd never make it through this BS. I wouldn't be going through this. I wouldn't be able to make it through this BS without you guys too. Real talk. Thankful to have you always. Your humanity means the most in these times. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, there's always this, people out there saying negative things, like you should just continue doing true crime. Well, I did true crime earlier in the show. And then now we're talking about things that are going on in the world too, other things that are going on in the world. And when there is stuff to talk about true crime wise, I will talk about it. You see what I'm saying? That's just kind of how the whole thing goes down. Yes, DHS is holding a presser. We're going to be looking at that in just a minute. Nidavell? Hopefully I'm saying that right. For coffee to wake up after this. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Reed, thank you so much for the love. Just poured a stiff drink. Yeah, I know that feeling. Trust me, I know that feeling. Yeah. Jesus wept. Yeah, he did. He most definitely, Jesus wept. Okay, indeed. Reggie, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for your support. Okay. And Angel Disguise, Trump, just to let y'all know. I'm the devil. Yeah, that was some crazy stuff. That was some crazy stuff. Okay. We got this press conference going on. I'm only going to play a little bit of this because I need to hop off. I need to stretch my legs. I need to use the restroom. I need all that stuff. Okay. And I need to get my eyes off these screens. They're killing me. But presser right now that is happening literally just started. So we're just going to play a little bit of this and rock and roll.
And enforcement. Gaps at that state and local level, most especially. Federal law enforcement has a responsibility to act. That is why we are here. And that is what this operation is about. Our operations are lawful, they're targeted, and they're focused on individuals who pose a serious threat to this community. They are not random, and they are not political. They are about removing criminals who are actively harming Minneapolis neighborhoods. For too long, residents have been told that enforcing our nation's immigration laws undermines public safety. In reality, the opposite is true. When the law is not enforced, violent offenders remain free. Criminal networks expand, and the community pays the price. Our neighbors, our citizens, our friends pay the price. Rather than confront that reality of which I've just spoken, leaders like Tim Walz or Mayor Fry have relied on heated rhetoric and accusations that distract from the facts. The facts are that federal agents are arresting murderers, rapists, child predators, cartel-connected criminals, and other individuals who pose a real danger to the people of Minneapolis. As these operations began, and since, there have been constant attempts to interfere with lawful enforcement of our nation's Title VIII immigration laws here in Minneapolis. Officers have been violently and aggressively assaulted, objects have been thrown, and vehicles damaged. Despite that violence, enforcement has continued unabated. Our officers remain professional, focused, courteous, and committed to the mission. That mission, again, being Title VIII immigration enforcement. This effort reflects a coordinated federal approach. Agencies are working together under Title VIII authorities. Agencies like the United States Border Patrol, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and many other allied law enforcement agencies, FBI, DEA, ATF, and many others have came together under this operation, under this umbrella. We share intelligence and execute operations in a unified manner. That coordination is essential to effective enforcement and public safety. Since the start of this operation, we have arrested some of the most dangerous criminal offenders operating in Minnesota. In the entire state of Minnesota, we have arrested some of the most violent criminal offenders right here in this city. These are not minor violators or minor garden variety criminals. These are repeat offenders with serious criminal histories. Now, folks, before I came here today, I printed out a few individuals that I'd like to share with you. Individuals that were arrested since yesterday. These 3 individuals were arrested just since yesterday. Keep in mind now, These individuals were walking the streets of Minneapolis with impunity as of yesterday. We've got Hovai Kumaye, a criminal illegal alien from Laos, a registered sex offender convicted of sex offense against a child, including fondling and failure to register as a sex offender. This individual was walking the streets of Minneapolis just yesterday. This individual right here. It's very interesting that I haven't seen this individual or many others like him reported on very much by the local news media or the state news media. That's interesting. But wait, let's don't quit there. No, you can't. Let's continue here. We've got Samuel Aravelo Hernandez, a criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, charged with rape and lewd or lascivious acts with a minor. Now, think about that for just a second. Rape, and then on top of that, lewd and lascivious acts with a minor. This individual was walking the streets of Minneapolis with impunity just yesterday. Let's don't quit there. Let's keep on there. We've got Annabelle Gomez, a criminal illegal alien from Honduras, previously arrested for criminal sexual conduct and domestic assault. Other convictions include disorderly conduct and driving under the influence of liquor. Walking the streets as of yesterday. These are just three that I decided to print out. There's a whole stack of them. There's a whole stack of these. As a matter of fact, when we look over the past year at the 10,000 that have been arrested here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, that stack is enormous. These are the kinds of individuals this operation focuses on. Individuals who escalate situations and endanger others. Again, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, and Ma and Pa America. This is exactly why interior enforcement exists, to remove dangerous criminals from our communities, remove dangerous illegal alien criminals from our communities. It's also important, folks, to address a point that's often overlooked. Interior enforcement does not exist in isolation. It's not just about interior enforcement. It's a dichotomy here. It's interior enforcement and border enforcement. What happens in Minneapolis is directly connected at what happens at our borders. Interior enforcement and border enforcement, border security are intricately connected. For years, federal law enforcement was placed in a defensive posture, especially over those past 4 years. Agents were overwhelmed, processing massive numbers of illegal aliens coming into the country, often with limited vetting, minimal accountability, and few consequences. I think that's proven right here just by those three that I held up there. Time and resources that should have been dedicated to public safety were diverted to administrative processing, and criminal organizations exploited that environment. Over the past year, under the leadership of our President, Donald J. Trump, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, that dynamic has changed. It's changed radically. It's changed more than I've ever seen in my over 3 decades in law enforcement. Border enforcement has reached historic levels. I actually called back to my home sector in El Centro today. They had one apprehension over the past 24 hours. One along that 75-mile stretch of border in El Centro alone. Last week, there were several days where they had 0 border crossers in that sector.
All right, guys. I gotta wrap up the show, unfortunately. But I'll most likely be back on to talk about what this press conference covers a little bit later on this evening. But that's the show, guys. Okay. Sorry, guys. I gotta run. But please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button here on my main channel. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Check it out. Subscribe there. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. Okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.